We are running a little bit behind, but just want to encourage people to fill in the room a little bit more. There's some room on the sides. Just be sure not to go past the like this area, but you can take over more space if you'd like. Thanks so much for being here. We'll get started in a few minutes. we're ready to get started. Thank you all for being here. Just to know, I'm sure folks are here potentially to testify, and if you're here to do so, there is a sign-up sheet near the entrance that you can sign up to provide testimony. Thanks so much for being here. We're going to get started with our meeting today at the David Douglas School boardroom. In accordance with, a regular meeting of the David Douglas School Board will be held today, Thursday, May 8th, 2025, at 7:08 p.m. in the David Douglas District School Board Room. And we're going to get started with our Native American land acknowledgement. Today, we want to begin our meeting and our school year by acknowledging that we gather as David Douglas School District on the traditional land of the Multnomah, Wasco, Cowlitz, Clackamas, bands of Chinook, Tualatin, Kalapuya, Molalla, and many other tribes, past and present, who have made their homes along the Columbia and Willamette rivers, and honoring with gratitude the land itself and the people who have stewarded it throughout the generations. We want to further again acknowledge the impact of forced removal, violence, and attempted erasure of the lives and legacies of Indigenous people, past and present, and to commit to creating an educational environment that honors Indigenous history and the contributions and encourages the continual pursuit of better stewardship of the land we inhabit as well. So today we're going to kick off our meeting with the student body report with President Kate.
Hi guys, my name is Melissa Kate. I'm the ASB president at David Douglas High School, and here are my, final reports for the school year. Recently we had our prom, and that was a huge success. We had a large number of students attending. We received great feedback through our 5-star survey. Many said it was better than other schools, so go yay for us. Another thing that we had done is we had a live jazz band in the basement, so students were able to get 2 types of music. So that was a great thing that we had that also, shifted the votes for our school having one of the best proms. And we prioritized inclusion, and we had a variety of stations, including silent disco, arcade games, and just other things that students could do other than stay on the dance floor if that is not for them. Currently this week, we have our Scots Madness tournament. If you're not familiar with that, we basically do something like March Madness, where we have a 3v3 basketball game outside. This is a great way to do our little final month of school-ish. We have students outside. They have otter pops. They're able to cheer on their teams, and it's just a very vibrant community that we have. Students are very excited and they're engaged, and this event has brought a lot of energy to the campus, and tomorrow is our finals, and we have a halftime performance by our Scotty, so that's pretty fun. Our senior activities that we have for the next few weeks, so basically we're doing a lot of celebration events. We had our senior shirt sales. They had a little senior logo on it that we made personally, so that's really cool. And seniors are going to be visiting their elementary and doing the whole grad walk next week, as well as making our 25 for the yearbook. I'm really excited for that. I can't wait. Also, one of the best weeks of school is coming up. We have our Unite Week coming up. We have a lot planned that week, including Monday, we have our assembly where all the cultural clubs are able to come and perform. I really advise for all of you to come, because it's one of the best ways to show our school culture and our diverseness through one big performance, as well as we'll be doing announcements throughout the week, highlighting different languages, highlighting the different languages spoken on our campus, and with flag coloring cards and international candy cart. On Tuesday, we have music in the hallways, as well as continuing the announcements in different languages in Kona Ice. On Wednesday, we have our iconic International Bite that consists of our cultural clubs being able to sell their foods. This is always the biggest hit and the biggest fundraiser for each one of our clubs. They're able to make a lot of money, as well as showcase their culture, and the food is always very good, so that's also a plus. On Thursday, we have our unified kickball tournament that includes our special education programs coming to our school to play this kickball tournament that we get to assist them in. Super fun, as well as our staff versus senior volleyball game, and seniors will be winning, but that's just a personal opinion. On Friday, we have our Spirit Day where we'll all be wearing blue, which signifies United Together. And we'll have possibly some food carts and lunch in the lawn. And we have our Scott's Fitness Challenge as well as our color one, where we get to have a bunch of students come after school hours and run laps and just do really fun things and be together to highlight mental health awareness. But that's our Unite week. This week is our Teacher Appreciation Week, and we made sure to go all out for them. We have specific posters for each department, as well as a good vibes cart. It's a cart that we put a bunch of goodies on and we decorate, and we go to each department each day to give them goodies and celebrate them, and making sure that this week is for them and acknowledging them and all their hard work they have put. And it's been a tough school year, so we really appreciate them. I think this was our last lunch with the principal, and that was today with Miss Busher, and many students were able to come and voice their opinions on both good and bad on the campus. Students were able to also enjoy pizza as well. One thing that I mentioned last meeting was being able to get more student input in our school board election. So me and Nina, which is our acting vice president of equity, we reached out to the running candidates that are voting against others, and we requested for them to send an email requesting for them to send in a video introducing who they were, why they're running for their school board, and what would they bring to the school board to positively impact the David Douglas School District students. And this is a little interview style thing that we'll be putting on our Instagram, as well as possibly in advisories. Our goal is to help students recognize the names and faces of the school board members that will be running and doing things behind the scenes, so there isn't no longer that disconnect, as well as they feel more connected to the people making decisions about their education, and they understand even if they understand they can't vote yet, they can still stay informed and involved. And these videos will be posted school-wide through our official DDHS, the district account, and our 2025 and 2024, all the 2020 pages, yes. And then my final note, this is my last meeting as ASB president, and I want to thank you guys so much because I've had so much fun here, and I've had a great time being introduced to each one of you guys, and this has been a really learning experience. I got to become better at speaking in front of bigger groups as well. I'm proud to say that this school has really changed me, and so have you guys, and this opportunity is something that I will never take for granted. And I also want to say that next year though I'm going away, my position will still be here, and it will be going to Jacob Hall over here. And I can't be more proud of my position going to him. He is like the best fit for this. He's very devoted, very leader. He's a big leader, and he's honestly going to be such a bundle of joy, and you all will enjoy him. And that's basically it for this year. Thank you so much.
Melissa, we're not going to let you off the hook that quick. So two things. You've shared a little bit about next year. I was wondering if you'd be willing to share if you've made a final decision with the board.
So initially my whole plan was to go to Howard, but because of some financial stumps, I found I wasn't able to commit there, but I will be going to Seattle University majoring in biology.
That's awesome. Congratulations. And I just want to echo, I know you said thank you to the board, and you said thank you for the people around this table, but I know for a fact that people around this table, and I'm sure some of them will, Michael as well, have appreciated your voice, your passion, your leadership all year long, right? So all of your reports, how thorough they are, but then your dedication and commitment to stay through the night, and every now and then there's just right? And obviously you don't have to raise your hand, but you do, and you weigh in and give us your opinion on behalf of your other colleagues and peers and students. So I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart and wish you all the luck. I know you're going to be very successful in the future, and I know you're not done yet, so you're going to finish strong, and it's a busy time of year. I'm going to pause there and see if there's any other comments any board members would like to make.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, first of all, thank you so much, President Kate, for everything. We have really enjoyed having you at these meetings and hearing from you. I can't say enough how thankful we are to have you and so proud of you. And I know that there's a lot of students in the room, so anyone graduating, we're proud of you too, because you represent what's going on in our schools and share that with us. And we're deeply grateful and wishing you all the luck. I know that you're gonna rock. So feel free to keep connected, keep in touch. If you ever need anything, you have a few people around who can talk to you, give you any advice or any help that you need. Yeah, and that goes for any student out there too. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I just want to echo this sentiments. I have been so grateful for everything you've brought to the board every single month. You know, you've spoke on behalf of the student body with such comprehensiveness. You've told us all kinds of things that are happening, from prom to the science Olympiads and everything in between. And I'm super proud of you, and I'm really grateful. I got to spend this weekend, I got to see Melissa honored at a awards ceremony. That was really cool. So anyway, I'm really proud of you. And like Gabby said, please keep in touch and just keep doing great stuff.
Thank you.
Wait time. So with that said, Melissa, we do have one more thing I'd like to read to you and present you with, and it's basically just to recognize your service and, more importantly, again, to say thank you. This is a special commendation award. The members of the David Douglas School Board extend their appreciation to Melissa Kate for outstanding service as Associated Student Body President of the David Douglas High School 2024-25.
Oh, that's awesome. And I'm so excited. Of course, like any other meeting, you're welcome to stay and understand any time that you have to go. Yeah, we just really appreciate and hope to keep on celebrating you and all other fellow students too along these last few weeks. You're almost there. That's a tough act to follow. But we're going to continue with our public comments, and we're going to hear from some of you because there is quite a bit of folks signed up. We're going to be much more timely with our 3-minute timer. So I'm going to put a timer, and once it goes off, that's your time. And please stop when the timer goes off so that we can go to the next person so that we have enough time to hear from everyone. So it's not personal in any way. We just want to make sure that everyone on the list can get to voice today. So we're going to start off with Raluca Cook. Oh wait, 1 second. Let me get my timer. All right, and whenever you start, I'll start the timer.
Good evening, board members. My name is Raluca Cook, C-O-O-K. I am a teacher in the district and a parent with children enrolled at the David Douglas Child Development Center at North Powellhurst. I'm speaking tonight out of deep concern for recent changes that directly impact my family and many in our district. For over 20 years, the center has offered flexibility with a minimum 2-day per week enrollment, which helps keep childcare costs down for families. Now, with the new requirement mandating 5 days a week, many of us are being priced out of the very center we trust and love. No other surrounding daycare requires 5 days a week, and this sudden, drastic shift seems very unnecessary. Compounding this issue was the registration process for next year. Families were asked to commit and pay a non-refundable $100 per child without being told what the tuition would be. We've only been told that there will be an increase, but not by how much. I have 2 children registered for the fall, and I'm already $200 in with no idea if I'll be able to afford the cost once it's announced. That's an unfair position to put families in. Traditionally, the registration fee was $50 per family, so doubling it and applying it per child is a significant burden, especially paired with the uncertainty around tuition. Also, because of the lack of communication and transparency, there are rumors of rates jumping from 70 a day to 100 a day. So for my 2 kids, 5 days a week, that's nearly $4,000 a month on childcare. That's simply not sustainable, especially for families like mine with multiple children, or for the over 70% of families at the center who are David Douglas employees. I want to be clear, I love North Powellhurst and all the people that care for our children. My oldest son went there from 2018 to 2022. My middle son is there now, and I registered my baby daughter for the fall. We've always felt supported and cared for at North Powellhurst, but these changes, the 5-day requirement, the steep registration fee, and the uncertainty about the tuition this late in the year doesn't feel very family-centered at all, and doesn't seem like the David Douglas way either. We want to grow our own, but we can't have our own be able to afford childcare. I urge you to please reconsider the 5-day minimum and to consider a reasonable tuition increase. Please keep in mind the financial realities of families you serve, especially your own staff, and how these decisions impact our ability to keep our children in the community we love and teach in. Thank you for your time and for listening.
Thank you. Is Julia and Lauren? Okay. Julian?
Yeah.
first? Or Julia?
Julia.
Sorry. Julia. Good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Julia Toscano. That's Toscano. I've been a proud educator in this district for 6 years, and I'm also the parent of a young child in our community. My son, Rafael, is currently in the infant room at North Powellhurst. I want to share a little bit about our journey just to get him to daycare. Rafael was placed on the wait list in April of 2024 while I was still pregnant. We didn't hear that he got a spot until January of 2025. That's 9 months on the wait list. And that's not unique. At another daycare we considered our second choice, it took 10 months to get in. I'm sharing this timeline because we've recently heard that tuition is going to increase, but we have not been told by how much. However, we have been asked to pay a deposit. And that uncertainty creates real anxieties for families like mine. If the increase is more than we can afford, I'll have no choice but to move Rafael to a different daycare. But the reality is, with those long wait lists, I can't just make that change in time for the fall. This tuition increase is putting families like mine, families of district employees, in an incredibly difficult position. It forces us to make hard choices about how to care for our children while we continue to serve the very community this daycare supports. More than 70% of the families served by this daycare are David Douglas School District employees. That means this center knows what we earn. Next year, we're receiving a 3% raise, so I'm asking respectfully that any tuition increase not exceed that same 3%. If a larger increase is absolutely necessary, then we ask for at least 10 months' notice. That's the time it takes to realistically secure a spot at another center. We need that time to plan and make responsible, informed decisions for our children. Thank you for hearing our voices. We're not just educators, but we're parents doing our best to raise our children while serving our students at the same time.
My name is Lauren Struzik Landfair. I'm reading on behalf of 2 other parents, and so we're going to start with Caitlin Nugent, which is spelled Nugent. My daughter is currently in the toddler room. Both my children have attended North Powellhurst since they were babies, and we adore it there. My daughter just turned 3, and we applied for preschool for all, and if she doesn't get a spot, we are probably going to go elsewhere. We did pay the registration fee to come back to North Powellhurst, but we do have options because our daughter is now 3 years old and we simply cannot afford $100 a day. If she doesn't get a spot through Preschool for All, we would patch together childcare through a part-time program and neighbors who stay home with their kids, and my husband has a flexible job. The second is from Michael Theophilus. That's spelled Theofelis. To David Douglas board members, I'm writing to express my confusion and frustration in regards to the clarity of changes taking place in the North Powhurst Child Care Center. Prior to my daughter even being born, many friends stated that I should start touring daycares as they quickly fill up and often have lengthy wait lists. Many DDHS teachers shared how much they liked the North Powhurst CDC and encouraged me to look into it. After going through a tour in February, I was informed that the requirements for attendance were going to change next year, though it wasn't certain what that number would be and when those changes would be decided. Further, an increase in daily rate was expected, but that was also unclear, forcing people to guess what an increase might mean. With the difficulty in finding reliable child care, long wait lists, and competitive registration, this process has been beyond frustrating. When finding out that I was able to register at the end of March, I was initially pleased, but still am left to question how much this will cost me. With one more month of operation before next school year, not having a set daily price is completely unreasonable. Now, those who have committed to NP-CDC find themselves without proper time to evaluate their options and make other arrangements if CDC ends up being cost prohibitive. You are doing a major disservice to teachers and community members by letting them register children while not having costs sorted out. At a certain point, someone will have to fully change the child care plans for next year while having lost months of time to contact, tour, and price out options. I urge you to keep costs the same for the upcoming year due to the lengthy delay and lack of professionalism in explaining cost changes. Imagine if you were making a change to the calendar requirements for our K-12 schools next year and altering the cost of lunch. How much notice would you give families to attend our schools? Those served in the daycare should be treated with the same respect, consideration, and clarity. Signed, Michael Theophilus.
Thank you.
I also have a personal statement, and my last name is spelled Struzik-Landfair. My name is Lauren Struzik-Landfair, and if you can't tell by my waddle, I am 7 months pregnant with my first child. I've been a teacher in this district for 5 years with 10 years of experience overall. I came from a modest background, or as some people like to call us, penny pinchers. It's taken me a long time to feel comfortable in being able to afford one child, and it is weighing heavily on me whether I can even think about a second child because of the costs. The raise that we got through bargaining this past year finally gave me the tiny confidence that I can afford having one child. I've looked at our home budget more times than I can count, ever watchful of short-term and long-term financial goals. When I moved to Portland, I was warned, half-jokingly, that I should be researching daycares from the moment of conception. I indeed started researching very early. As soon as I made it to 12-week mark of pregnancy, I started my calls to what few daycare options I had in terms of cost and day availability. I've heard so many good things about our CDC that it has always remained at the top of my list. However, you can imagine how quickly my heart sank when I heard the rumors of a dramatic increase in monthly cost. I will be frank, I cannot afford the rumored number. I do not know what I will do if the rumor is close to true, especially as we move to what experts believe is an imminent recession. It has caused immense stress. For comparison of day cost, we learned this week that Gresham High School has a child development center that is run just like ours, where high schoolers are pushed into classrooms to help the adult staff interact with the children. It is confirmed from their coordinator, Judith Bracamontes, that their daily rate is $55 to $57 a day for their infant and toddler room, with no plans of increase this year. Knowing that our current rates are $70 and $65 for our infant and toddler rooms respectively, we already are working with an 18 to 23% increase with our neighboring district. This does not include the raise that has been promised for next year. Every day I do my best to provide for this district community as an ELA teacher, a union rep, and an equity co-chair. I love my students immensely, and they admitted to themselves that they are basically my children in their own way. I will always fight for what I think is right for these young people. I am asking the leaders that are making this decision to fight for their teachers and parents as well. Please allow us the opportunity to afford our own children as we serve our community's children every day. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Nelson Santos.
Oh, thank you. Good evening, members of the board, faculty, and community members. My name is Nelson Santos Cime, S-A-N-T-O-S-C-I-M-E, and I'm a senior in the David Douglas Music Program. I'm here tonight not only as a concerned member of this community, but as someone who has personally witnessed the profound impact our school music program has. I'm here because something truly special is at risk of being dismantled, not because it failed, but because it succeeded too quietly. Its lack of recognition has led it to be less appreciated compared to other programs offered at our school. Our program has been high achieving for more than 2 decades, and yet the support from our school has been little to none. If you want further proof that our music program is high achieving, just listen. Our concert choir has been going consistently to the OSAA State Choir Championships for 28 years now. Over the past 10 years, the Troubadours have won 6 first places, 2 third places, and 1 fourth place at the OMEA Chamber Ensemble Competition. Our symphonic strings in the past 18 years have qualified for the OSAA State Orchestra Championships 17 times. 8 of those years, they have finished in the top 5. The DDHS Symphony has 6 second place finishes between the years of 2013 and 2019. And finally, the band program has been to the OSAA State Band Championships 25 times in the past 27 years. During the last 18, under a 2-director model, not only has the band maintained a regular top 10 finishes, but the band has also had frequent top 5 finishes. Jazz 2 has participated in the OMEA State Jazz Competition every single year since it started in 2016, with many second place, third place, and fourth place finishes. Our percussion ensemble this year went to the OMEA State Ensemble Championships for the first time since its inception in 2016, with the ensemble consisting of 9 freshmen. This is the quality and experiences our music program produces. If you've ever seen the DDHS band perform at a game, an assembly, or in a community event, you've seen school spirit in action. The band program doesn't just represent music students, it represents the DDHS as a whole. It brings energy, pride, and visibility to our school. But behind it is structure, discipline, and hours of preparation. This only happens with strong staffing. When you remove that support, the quality of the program suffers, and so does the culture. This is one of the most public-facing programs our school has, and it deserves the kind of backing that allows it to grow, not shrink. The assistance is what helps sustain the momentum. I myself placed in the top 3 trumpets at the OSAA State Solo Competition and placed first at the OMEA State Small Ensemble in the brass category with my classmate Simon. All of this wouldn't have been possible without the help of Mr. Feynman. Not only did he offer me private lessons when I couldn't afford it, but he provides lessons for other individuals as well. He is also so supportive. I've seen him support ensembles and individuals at competitions even when he isn't physically well. If that doesn't speak volume, then I don't know what will. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. E.J. Hutchinson.
Hello. Good evening, board members and the superintendent and chair. My name is E.J. Hutchison. I'm a senior at David Douglas High School. I'm on track to be valedictorian of the class of 2025. Over the past 4 years, I've been deeply involved in our school's community through academics, athletics, CTE programs, and especially the band program. I'm here tonight because I believe that cutting the band program even partially is a serious mistake and one that would be deeply harmful to students. I'd like to ask all the people in support of the band program to please raise their hand now. I want to thank all the people that are here to support the program that they love. So that being said, band is not just an elective, it's a powerful learning environment. One of the most effective ways to build social emotional learning, which this district has made a clear priority. In band, students learn collaboration, discipline, leadership, and confidence through meaningful real-world experiences. These are lifelong skills that help students thrive not only in school but in life. While advisory programs like Wayfinder are well-intentioned, many students find them and teachers find them inauthentic. They do not resonate with programs like band does. Band creates community, connection, and purpose. It keeps students engaged and gives them something to look forward to, especially for those who may not connect with school in any other ways. Reducing the program by half doesn't preserve its values, it diminishes it. We risk losing all the positive outcomes that band delivers: higher student engagement, improved academic performances, and emotional well-being. For many of us, band is where we find our voice, our people, and our confidence. As a student who has succeeded across multiple areas of high school, I can say without hesitation that band has been one of the most important and formative parts of my experience. I urge you to protect this program, not just for me, but for all the students who will walk these halls after I'm gone. Thank you.
Thank you. Up next, Laura Hutchinson.
I want to give my time to the kids. I submitted something in writing from my husband and I, but there's 100 kids back there who deserve more time to talk. Thank you.
Thank you. And if you did send or submit written testimony, we do get those emailed, so we do see them, just so you know. All right. Abraham Cortez. Abraham Cortez. Right. Abraham? Oh, okay. It might be in the hall, so give him a minute. No? Okay. Thank you. Simon Pringanger?
Hello, my name is Simon Pinniger, spelled Pinniger, and I'm also a fellow senior here at David Douglas High School. Not to brag, but just last weekend I was named the state champion in both trombone and in my small brass duet with Nelson. Thank you. It was a pivotal moment in my musical career that I plan to continue on in college. I mention this because I wouldn't be where I am today, planning to study musical performance at University of Oregon, if it wasn't for the Jazz One and Percussion Methods program. The band director of those programs is the reason I played the song that I played, is the reason I practiced as hard as I did, and is the reason I won. That same director was told last week that they will no longer be a band director at David Douglas starting next year, and that the Jazz One and Percussion Methods program will be dismantled. This is very devastating news, since the David Douglas band program has been thriving off of 2 band directors for the last 2 decades. They are both such a key factor in our success and a huge inspiration to all of us. I'm speaking on behalf of the entire music program that this change will affect the music of David Douglas forever. A couple years ago, Reynolds High School was one of the most vibrant music schools in the entire state of Oregon, directed by Ben Brooks, who is the father of our current band director, Jennifer Brooks. After budget cuts were added and director spots emptied, it became a ghost town. It would be such a shame to see the same happen to David Douglas, since our music program is one of the biggest and most competitive programs in the state. Cutting these programs will not make our music program more strong and vibrant, it will only make it weaker. We are just recovering from the hit that we took during the pandemic, growing rapidly in numbers of kids coming in since post-COVID. This change would completely counter that growth that we've achieved these last few years and would severely hurt the music that we all love to make. I'm truly grateful to have been a part of the David Douglas Band program, and the fact that I'm coming out to speak up for the future generations of musicians here at Douglas, even though this will not affect me whatsoever, should mean something. I'm politely asking to consider the effect that this will have on not just our band program, but the current and future students of David Douglas. Thank you very much.
Thank you. a little hard to read, but I think it's Andy. Andy first.
All right, can you hear me? All right. Good evening, everyone. I'm freshman at David Douglas High School, and recently, last week, just as Simon said, my group, Jazz One, was one of the first few people who heard about our assistant band director's position being dismantled. He's been visiting me since middle school, 6th grade, and after COVID. And without him, we wouldn't have been able to grow as a band even in middle school. After COVID, there was only one band director, and that one band director was extremely stressed during middle school. But every time the assistant band director joined, we were always able to improve and be able to grow as a team. If you're removing the assistant band director, if you remove the assistant band director, the main band director, Jennifer Brooks, will have to teach all the band programs, all the band classes by herself. And without anybody else, she'll be extremely stressed from all of the work she'll have to do and all the paperwork she'll have to do without being able to teach her class and also be an effective teacher. Without the assistant band director, we will potentially waste more time just trying to print out new music sheets without someone else doing it for us. And if you remove Jazz One, that would be a really big effect on Jazz One and everyone in the school as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, Theodore Wayland.
Hello. Okay. Hi, I'm Theodore Wayland. That's spelled W-A-Y-L-A-N-D. And this is in regard to the current band situation. This is my statement. I just wanted to start this off and say I've been a part of the David Douglas band program since I was a 6th grader being taught at Floyd Light Middle School. During my years in school, one of the only classes that's truly brought me real excitement and a genuine learning experience is the band classes I've taken. At David Douglas High School, I improve as a musician every year, and this is due to the help of classmates, my own personal goals, and especially the staff. In my high school career, our two wonderful directors have made class an absolute pleasure every day, and I couldn't imagine band without their guidance. Without the staff, our music program cannot thrive the same way it does today. The David Douglas Music Program is one of the best programs in our school, and we are quite successful and well respected. If we're to cut funding and positions from this program as well as classes, I can imagine a much darker future for the program. The growth seen as of current is incredible, and removing these factors will halt growth and limit the potential of incoming freshmen in band at David Douglas High School. Being someone who's in love with music and will continue to grow as a musician for the rest of my life, I sincerely hope that we can continue to support our current music program not only for us, but for the future generations to come. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, William Mora Nunez.
Hello, my name is William Mora Nunez, spelled M-O-R-A-N-U-N-E-Z. I am here representing Jazz One as a first alto, and I would like for all the students to stand who have been directed by Danny Feynman in Jazz One or the percussion ensemble to stand now. These students have been led by Danny Feynman. He has changed all of our lives, and all of the people in Jazz One will be left in ruin knowing that their chances for continuing into Jazz 2 will be little to none. This will affect all of the incoming freshmen and current freshmen taking this course now for continuing jazz or in band just in general. This will affect the band a lot. In course, Danny Feynman has been giving out lessons for free. No more brass lessons will be leading once he leaves, leading to possible champions of the state left in ruin. For example, Nelson winning third. Since I've joined Wind Ensemble, Danny Feynman has taken us out and helped us with playing our music confidently and correctly. Last Wind Ensemble class, he took our clarinet section out to play a line that we could not play. We came back learning it. Thank you to him. And I thank him. This paper has 745 signatures that we have collected in the last 24 hours, and it has 16 pages. Some of these votes come from as far as New York and Texas to support Danny Feynman. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, Simon, I can't read the last name. It starts with an N. Natra?
Hello, my name is Simon. I'm a current junior at David Douglas High School. I'm involved with many programs at the school, from our football team to our wrestling team to our college culinary program and our music program. I don't have too much to say today, but I would just like to bring up the importance of our assistant band director. The assistant band director role is not secondary. It is essential to the success of our music program. The assistant director shares leadership of 2 out of 3 bands with the head director and independently leads 2 of his own. Eliminating his position would overwhelm the lead director and compromise the quality and reach of our program. Beyond rehearsals, our assistant director provides private lessons to countless students, guiding them towards their personal music goals with dedication and care. His influence is a cornerstone of our program's success, and removing him from this role would be a serious setback for every musician at David Douglas High School. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, Olivia Pinginger.
So there were 3 of us who wished to speak today. Olivia Pinninger, Danielle McGahey, and Stephanie Pinninger. We all have decided to leave space for these lovely students, parents, and teachers who would like to speak today.
Thank you. Danielle McGahey? Oh, sorry. Okay. Then Joshua Rivers.
Hello, everyone. My name is Joshua Rivers. That's Rivers for the last name. I'm a 2022 David Douglas graduate, and I'm currently pursuing a bachelor's in music education. I'd like to take a moment today to share my story about how the David Douglas High School music program, specifically the assistant band director position, has impacted my life. My senior year of high school was the first year of fully in-person school post-COVID-19 pandemic. I was 1 year away from graduating, and I had absolutely no idea what the rest of my life was going to look like. I never felt passionate enough about anything to consider studying it in college, and I hated the idea of a career I didn't really love. I was starting to panic. The only thing I ever had a deep, involved interest in was music, but I wasn't sure how to turn that into a stable career and a comfortable lifestyle. Luckily for me, this was the year a good friend of mine convinced me to join the only beginner-friendly courses in the band program, which happened to be percussion methods and Jazz 1. Up until that point, my only musical background was being in choir from middle school and playing pop songs on guitar for fun. Simple as it was, my prior knowledge helped me excel very quickly in percussion methods, and I soon joined some of the veteran students in sort of a leadership role. While I can't say I had as much success in becoming a great jazz guitar player over in Jazz 1, I learned that I really enjoyed the process of rehearsing with an instrumental ensemble, as it was something entirely different than what I had experienced in rehearsing with a choir. This feeling, combined with my success as a new percussionist, gave me the confidence to go for a spot in the wind ensemble, where I then got to compete in my first and last state band competition, another completely unforgettable feeling. By the end of the year, after participating in many band competitions and jazz festivals, and working with guest conductors from great college programs around the state, and taking a music theory class from our band director, Jennifer Brooks, I wasn't really feeling panicked about my future anymore. I had a new sense of motivation and determination, and that led me to enroll in school, hoping to become half the amazing educator that either of the current David Douglas band directors are. Without having a second band director or having percussion methods and Jazz 1s available to me, I'd never have had those experiences. Thank you for listening to my story, and thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next, Alyssa Odman.
Hello there. My name is Alyssa Odman, O-D-M-A-N. I graduated from David Douglas back in 2019. I participated in the band program all 4 years of high school, as well as my twin brother did. I'm here today to tell our story. We both fell in love with the program and participated in many different levels that the program has to offer. I did percussion methods all 4 years of high school. My brother and I participated in stage band, Jazz 1 and Jazz 2. I was in the wind ensemble, and my brother was in the symphonic band. These opportunities allowed us to make so many friends. We learned so many fundamental skills on how to be an adult, how to be a better musician, and how to succeed. Because of the friends that we made in the program, my brother and I were able to make solid friends for life. When my brother was in high school, he was severely depressed. And if it wasn't for those friends, my family and I wouldn't have known that my brother was suicidal. It was because of them that they were able to communicate with me of those feelings. Me and my family would not have known that he was feeling those feelings if it wasn't for those friends. When I was in high school, I was also severely depressed, and my grades were starting to lack. I would not have graduated if it wasn't for the band program here. I didn't want to participate, but because I was so motivated to be a part of the wind ensemble and percussion methods and all of those classes, I wouldn't have succeeded. If it wasn't for Miss Brooks, I would not be the person that I am today. I would not be so motivated to go to a 4-year college. I would not be so motivated to go into teaching if it wasn't for her. If you cut these programs, you are doing a disservice to these kids, especially if there are any kids like me and my brother. If you cut this program, you are going to be taking away David Douglas' greatest potential to win and succeed. I understand that the threats from this current presidency are making federal funding really difficult, but I ask you to please consider what programs you are cutting, because it should not be the band programs. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, Sherry Ann May.
Good evening. My name is Sherry Ann May, M-A-Y, and I have lived in the David Douglas School District for 38 years. I'm speaking tonight regarding the proposed cut to the assistant band director position at David Douglas. I'm aware of the current budgetary and political situations and understand there are many tough decisions to be made in this dark time. I would like to address the jazz band component of the position and offer a possible adjustment to this cut. The jazz program meets before the school day starting at 6:30 a.m. Students carpool, walk, and have parents drop them starting around 6:20. They wake up before the sun and play as though their lives depended on it before most of the school even arrives. Their class ends at 7:30 and then they race to first period. The jazz program is different from the regular band program. Jazz bands usually have between 17 to 22 players to play standard jazz literature. Usually the program takes 3 to 4 extra players in the top group to rotate and also to build skills for the next year in younger students. This year's Mount Hood League champion Jazz 2 band carries 25 players with only 7 graduating. Jazz 1 currently has 35 students with only 4 graduating. So this year, 2 bands have covered the equivalent of 3 bands worth of students. The 3rd band was cut last year. Jazz is fed by all 3 middle school programs, and a natural scaffolding occurs through literature choices, skill instruction, and curriculum. There are currently 25 8th grade students that have indicated they will audition for the jazz program in the fall. Numbers are not put in the schedule until after auditions, creating a possibility of a minimum of 74 students who would be auditioning for 25 spots without Jazz 1 as a class. Again, enough for 3 bands, but now down to 1. To cut the middle of the jazz scaffold would be like asking 8th grade students to suddenly skip from 8th grade math to calculus and suddenly begin reading Chaucer and studying Tennessee Williams with no bridge from Flowers for Algernon. In sports, there is a specificity of skill development for freshman and JV teams. We still have those in place to foster the best for our students. What would happen if those were not there? Cutting this position leaves a gap of 2 classes that are an integral part of the scaffolding of the jazz and symphonic band programs, as well as the total music department. In addition, the band assistant covers all football games with the regular band director so that all enrolled students can play. Covers half of the basketball games, assists in parades and appearances for the other community organizations, competitions, and events. What is the plan for this coverage? Keeping .6 position of this high school FTE, we would at least keep Jazz 1 percussion methods and support for one of the larger band classes, and would allow the continuity and scaffolding needed for the excellence in service from this award-winning program. The .4 cut and previous .18 cut almost cover keeping this FTE. Moving the .4 cut FTE to middle school coverage would continue to bridge the transition between middle school and high school, as some students have spoken of this evening. This would allow Mr. Feynman to keep his full-time status and serve 4 total buildings and provide service to over 642 students. We know about dropout rates, lack of on-time competition, and students who have lost their sense of self and seem to have nowhere to belong. This cut significantly adds to those issues. Students who have a place, make a connection, and have support graduate on time and pursue other education and job possibilities. Thank you for your time. The district has always prided itself to do what is best for kids. Hopefully this solution could allow a cut, but also provide the best outcomes for our students.
Thank you. Thank you. Next, Jeffrey Tran.
Hello, my name is Jeffrey Tran, Tran, and I come before you today to advocate for the assistant band director position. The position of the assistant band director is absolutely crucial to the band program at David Douglas High School. The position teaches or co-teaches the following classes: Jazz 1, percussion methods, concert band, and symphonic band. They also work very closely with the main director, often providing their own input or giving specific groups additional support as needed. The position offsets the loads of aspiring musicians involved in joining the band program. As of May 2025, the number of students amounts to over 140 students divided among 3 classes. The number of students is expected to increase by over 50 students next year. If the position is removed, there will no longer be a percussion methods class, which teaches the basics of being a percussionist. Additionally, there will no longer be a Jazz 1 class, which is integral to developing young musicians and directly leads into our award-winning Jazz 2 group. Without this position, the main band director will have to teach over 190 kids by herself, and nearly 90 of those kids will be in one single class. I myself was a student in the Jazz 1 class. At the beginning of freshman year, I had little to no skills required for jazz. Like so many others who had been in that class, I had experienced exponential growth, and I took my place in Jazz 1 the next year. Without the class that the assistant band director taught, I would have never been able to do that. And without the help from the assistant band director, the overall quality of the band will go down. New and talented and aspiring musicians will not have the same opportunity to expand their artistic abilities, and one of the main parts of the school will no longer have the same standing. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Lavrel von Reagan.
Hello, thanks for letting us speak today. My name is Laurel Von Reagan, spelled Vonragan. I'm the mother of a sophomore in the band program. He was going through middle school at a time where, all of 6th grade was the hybrid, so it was very difficult to be learning music during a hybrid program. And then after that, there was no opportunity for jazz and Ron Russell or marching band, for that matter. So being in Jazz 1 for freshman year was really essential for him to build his skills, and now he's in Jazz 2. And they are competing at state tomorrow, in case you guys didn't know. So I guess one thing I'm really concerned about, you've heard so many things tonight, and I'm not going to go over the same, but this kind of feels like cutting JV, if you cut Jazz 1, because how are they going to bridge from 8th grade to varsity, right? Very difficult to achieve. Something else I'm struck by is, the spirit in this room is just insane. Think about what that is doing for these kids and for the parents and for the community. We're all worried about, kids with social media and isolation and all of that. This is community. These are friends they're going to have forever, besides all of the skills that they're building within the classroom. So I'm going to let other people speak now, but I hope you consider saving the program somehow.
Thank you. Shelby Ellis?
All right. Hello, my name is Shelby Ellis, spelled E-L-L-I-S, and I'm a first grade teacher and a DDEA rep at Gilbert Park Elementary. I've been hearing all year from my coworkers about the impact of our newly adopted contract, and here are a few of the key takeaways that I've been hearing the last few months. Many of my coworkers have expressed how helpful the extra teacher-directed time on some of our late start Wednesdays has been. Having more time to prep, review, and plan materials has led to educators feeling more prepared to teach, especially when it comes to differentiating for multilingual learners and students with IEPs. The impact of the salary increase has been felt throughout the building. For me personally, my student loan payments are now within my budget. But I've also heard of others in the building that the increase has not only made costs like daycare and necessities more manageable, but now with a little extra flexibility, people feel like they can more comfortably plan for the future, like college savings for their kids and retirement. Finally, a teacher in my building that transitioned from teaching SPED and an ERC to Gen Ed teaching talked to me about how the changes and protections that were added for SPED educators are things that would have dramatically changed working conditions during their time in SPED. They mentioned that the new SPED language will help keep strong SPED educators in our district. Now more than ever, we know the need for strong public education, which requires strong and supported educators. Overall, the new contract has given educators in my building the support they need to be their best for our students. Thank you.
Okay, y'all. Sorry, we're running behind, and there are other guest speakers that want to talk, so we are gonna keep going because there's only 3 more people left. But just if the timer goes off, please stop so that we can keep going, so that they could also present. So next up, Sarah. Sarah, I can't read the last name. Jalu. Oh yeah. Oh, Sahan. Oh, thank you. Yeah, Jama. Yeah, sorry, I couldn't read it. Thank you.
Good evening, board members.
My name is Sahan Jama, spelled Sahanjama, and I am a freshman at David Douglas High School, and I've been playing euphonium for 2 years and trombone for 2 years. I didn't start off in band in 6th grade. I actually was in a different class, but my brother chose this class, and I thought it was cool, so I transferred, and I'm really glad that I did transfer into this music program. And then in 8th grade, I joined the jazz band, and I was instantly hooked on that too. That just made me have the decision to join jazz band for 9th grade this year. I'm currently in Jazz 1, and I'm worried about what's going to happen if you guys cut Danny Feynman as a teacher for the assistant band director position. I want to start off with my personal experience in this class. So far I've had an amazing experience in this class when I've started, and it was a lot at first. I had to wake up at 5 a.m. just to get to his class on time, but I find that it's very worth it, and I've had a lot of fun in this class, and it gives me something to look forward to in my day. I've gone to a couple festivals so far, and I've had an amazing time, and there's a lot of other people that have joined this class and would like to move on to the next class. Jazz 2, which makes me very worried because there's going to be a lot of people auditioning next year for that class, and they have nowhere to go because you guys cut Jazz 1. I'm worried that a lot of people who have amazing potential to be great players in the jazz band might not even get a chance to play because they didn't go through the first jazz band. A lot of our amazing players that we've had in our Jazz 2 band have been inside our Jazz 1 band at one time, and I'd just like to think about what if they were never in Jazz 1. I think that it's very important that you keep this class, not just because of Jazz 1, but because of all the other classes he teaches and all the things he does for our students. And for him, I feel like it would be a great disservice to bring him down and cut him from David Douglas High School. There's been 750 people who have signed a petition online that want this person to be still in the jazz band, and I think it's very important that he stays. Whatever compromises you must make, like adding classes to his schedule to make his job more valuable. It took a lot of courage to come up here, and so I'd like to urge all of you guys to please reconsider cutting him from our jazz band, the percussion methods class, and all the other stuff he does, like volunteering for festivals, because he really does a lot for our band and our music program. And I think that the future of the music program could really be not in a good place if you cut him. And yeah, it's very important that he stays, and I hope you reconsider that. Thank you.
Thank you. Emil Santoyo. Emil M. Santoyo.
Hello everyone, my name is Emil M. Santoyo, Santoyo, and I am a David Douglas Class of 2024 alumni. I am here to discuss the position cuts taking place within the music department. With all respects, I find it ridiculous that this is something needed to be debated. I've grown with this band program, I've seen it before COVID, I watched it crumble during COVID, and I was there to see it flourish all over again. Like most students, I began music starting at 5th grade, and by my senior year, I had determined that this is what I wanted to dedicate my life to. It just took me a while to realize that. I am a strong euphonium player, and I wouldn't be surprised if some of you sitting in this room aren't familiar with what that is. Similarly to how you are cutting into major pieces of this program without the proper knowledge of what exactly you are taking away from your students. On the school district website, it states that your mission is to quote-unquote provide meaningful, equitable, and highly effective instruction so each student grows and thrives socially, emotionally, and academically. By taking away this position, you are also taking away ensembles where most early musicians begin when they transition from middle school to high school. It's the essential stepping stone that allows students to build and progress their skills. To say your mission is to provide and to nourish, you say your mission is to provide and to nourish, but there's been a notorious pattern of constantly neglecting and taking away from these musicians. They don't even have access to the PAC parking lot, and they weren't given a say in that matter until after that decision was made, but I digress. Mr. Feynman, the assistant band director, has worked tremendously to help provide for all students he has ever worked with, and to potentially take away his position is incredibly insulting and disrespectful to his hard work. Last year, I performed at the OSAA State Solo Championships. My passion for music is something my parents have always refused to support me in, so I showed up alone, surrounded by my competitors who all had armies of families and friends to support them. I went into that performance room scared beyond belief. It was my big day to show off all my hard work from the past 7 years in the program. My audience that day consisted of 2 people, aside from the adjudicators, my euphonium teacher and Mr. Feynman. The memory of watching them being the sole people to clap for me at the end of my performance is something so deeply meaningful to me, and it hurts to see that the district is trying to take away a teacher who advocates so strongly for his students. Thank you.
Thank you. Eric Alexander.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for letting me speak. There's been so much said that there's not a whole lot left for me to say that hasn't been spoken, but a few things. In so many words, the students have been saying, what a fine man Mr. Feynman is. And on top of that, I would like to add that there is a piece here that I'd like the district to consider. It's the legacy. This is my 31st year in the district. And there are a few other band directors that we're getting really close to the end of the career type thing. And Miss Brooks has been here quite a while too. She's way younger than I am, but I'll throw that out there. Mrs. Brooks is an outstanding teacher, one of the best in the state. And Mr. Feynman has had the last 5 years to basically be mentored by her as a teacher. And I think it's really important to consider when Miss Brooks is gone, the big shoes to fill are going to be very difficult, but right now she has like a hand-picked teacher working alongside her, helping prepare the way for when that day comes. And I would hate to see that talent and that experience walk out the door because another district came calling and said, hey, here's a band job and we hear good things about you, and take our talent out of the district. That would be a horrible thing to say and to do to our kids here. And I think that's really important to consider when we think, legacies and what's going to come next. For my own part, as my students behind me know, I still love them. I think them as my kids. But I have a group of kids at Alisat this year. I have my biggest jazz band ever. I have 45 kids in jazz band. And by the way, plug, we have bagels and books tomorrow morning from 7:45 to 8:30. If you want to come listen to that jazz band, they'll be performing there. But those kids, I mean, I've had these kids for 4 years, a lot of them, and I love them too. And I don't want to see them go to the high school and not have opportunity, to not have that ability to pursue something that they all love. They have band every day with me because it's concert band one day, jazz band the other. And I think the two feed on each other. I think that a lot of kids do concert band because they're in jazz band, and at our school, it's a requirement. If you want to be in jazz band, you have to be in concert band. And because they have all of this band, they grow into really strong musicians. And it's so tiered. It's one layer after the other. The kids get better, they get better. And I have felt so blessed over the last 20 years at Alisat to know that when I sent a kid to the high school, they were going to a better program. They were going to go to some place where more and more opportunity would be given to them, and that I could have peace knowing what they're having next is better than what I could give them, and be excited about that for them. So I would ask that you consider this part of this that people haven't talked about yet. It's just the mentorship the legacy, what comes next down the road. I want to see all the kids behind me flourish, and I also want to see the kids I currently have coming up through this system have the same opportunities to flourish. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. We do not automatically respond to public comment, but we do have an agenda item later in the meeting if you would like to stay, or you could also watch it later on YouTube. But we are going to move on just out of respect of the next presenters who have been wanting to present and have to go. But just to say before people start leaving that I'm incredibly proud of every single person in this room. It really takes guts to stand on business and say what you believe and to advocate for something you're passionate about. So just to say that I'm incredibly proud. Next, we're going to have presenters from Lincoln Park and Run Russell to talk about Nepali Heritage Month and Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month.
Are those slides up?
Hi, how's it going, y'all? Good evening. Thank you for being here. Thank you.
Good evening, board. My name is Oscar Campos. I'm the assistant principal at Lincoln Park Elementary School, and I want to thank you all for letting us come over here and present a little bit about our Asian Pacific Islander presentation that we have. And thank you to the partnerships that we've developed here with ERCO and SUN and just the community here. As you'll see, we've invited some community members here, and they come to our school for some of the events, but also this community is a very strong community, and they take their show on the road, if you will. They go to different places to expand their well-being when it comes to their culture and just to show united front. And I'll pass it over to Ms. Snyder.
Yeah. So thank you so much for coming. I know you've waited for a long time on a school night to speak, and the kids are chilling out because it's a little late for them. But we wanted to highlight our Bhutanese Nepalese refugee community, who are parents of students throughout the district at all different grade levels. There's some future David Douglas students out there and some parents of David Douglas High School alumni. So this is a refugee group that came from Bhutan. They were expelled from Bhutan in the 80s and 90s, having been recruited as migrant labor in the 1890s to Bhutan, and then were told to leave Bhutan, and many were resettled in the United States. And Portland is one of the cities where people were resettled, and we have a thriving Bhutanese Nepalese community here, if you could advance. So we have several groups at Lincoln Park. We have a Nepali youth group through our SUN partnership, and our Nepalese group, Daya, has been working with our SUN school on and off since we have had a SUN school which is, I think, 12 years now that we've had a SUN program at Lincoln Park, maybe 11. And we have cultural enriching after-school programming for our students through our SUN partnerships. And then in the last couple of years, we have also had cultural enriching adult groups. So up at the top, you see some kiddos from our after-school group, and then you see representatives of our knitting group and our wellness group. And this is actually from this last weekend at the district office. There was a community event. If you could advance. And I think I'll skip the videos, but if you have access to this slide deck, there are 2 videos featuring our knitting group. So these are all some of our knitters who come to Lincoln Park every Thursday, and it's a healing therapeutic group through arts and crafts, predominantly knitting, but there's a lot of incredible art that happens there, and some very gifted artists. And then on Fridays, Daya leads a wellness group that's more focused on structure reduction and nutrition. They also do field trips to better promote both mental and physical health. So anyhow, that's some of the work that is happening with our Nepalese Bhutanese community at Lincoln Park. And we are using our space, right? We are trying to be a true community school with our SUN program and really welcome the entire community into our school so that everyone can learn and grow and thrive. If you want to look at the slides later, there's more resources and information both about the community, there's some teaching resources, but mostly we wanted to come and say hi.
Thank you. Do any of you want to share anything too? I know that you waited a long time, so definitely want to give you the space.
Yeah? Do you want to say anything?
I'm Daya Shakya, so I'm also connected with the David Douglas.
Oh, could you speak into the mic just so that we can hear better?
I thought my voice is loud enough.
Thank you.
I'm Daya Shakya, D-A-Y-A, last name is S-H-A-K-Y-A, so I'm an interpreter in the David Douglas School District, and also, I run a lot of programs for the children. So somehow, because this community is very, very new in this community, so that's why since 2008 they came over here, and I have been connected with them since that time. So that means almost like 16 years I've been connected with that. So every year children come to school and they learn something and graduate and go to college. So I have been watching everybody on that. So these kind of things are very, very I'm inspiring for them to. I'm still continuing to do that. The reason why we chose the Lincoln Park is because it's so convenient place. So not too far away from east, not too far away from west. Everything is. That's why. And then the Lincoln Park staff is very, very kind to us, and they provided us the room to run the classes. So that means I'm very thankful for them to do all these things. And especially now I'm connecting with Hannah, and she's so much helpful for this community. So I really appreciate what she has been doing for us. And on behalf of all the ladies who are behind us, they are all very, very dedicated to to work for the community engagement, all these things. So that means I'm running a class like a wellness class on every Friday. We didn't have any place to go because the library was not on the renovation, and we were doing the classes in the library, and then somehow it was closed down for couple of years. Now we have to find the room plus there. So that's why the Lincoln Park keeps our space for to run the classes. So I'm very happy for that. Now we got the library is already already renovated, and they have plenty of rooms. So hopefully we will be moving, because once the school closes in June 16, June 13, so we'll be continuing the class in the library. So this will be ongoing kind of activity we are doing. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to speak in front of you. And namaste too.
Thank you.
And I'm sorry, I said I was done, but I promised our students that I would ask for our soccer goal back because it was removed. And we love soccer at Lincoln Park, and we would love to have our soccer goal back. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for coming out tonight. Next, Ron Russell with Asian American Pacific Islander Heritage Month. Welcome. Hi, good evening, y'all.
Hello, this is McKenna from the Student Equity Group. I'm a sixth grade student at Ron Russell Middle School. We are here to represent our group and talk about Asian American Pacific Islander Month. Next slide, please. Oh, next.
Next slide.
Our group members have been gathering together for the past 2 weeks to create these slides. Next. Ready?
You okay?
Oh, it was supposed to. I
You already said that?
Yeah.
Okay.
I said next.
And then the next slide, please.
Yeah.
Yes.
The members of our group are all ages across 6th to 8th grade. We all have a chance to make a difference and represent our school. These are the members of Ron Russell Middle School's Student Equity Group.
Next slide, please. Hi, my name is Ruby-Ann Helene Matthews. I am an 8th grade student on the Ron Russell Student Equity Group. This is our first year having a student equity group at Ron Russell. There are about 20 students. We meet 2 times a month. We usually start with talking about things going on at school. Then we get into our groups, the flag group, the news group, and the anti-bullying group. Our flags group. Our flags group works on finding flags we don't have on our flag display in our school commons. The news group, we talk about things at our school that maybe needed improvement. And we make a goal for the month and we put it on our school's weekly yearbook video news. And we also put up signs around our school to have that reminder of one of our goals was to interrupt offensive language. For our news, we talked about how it makes people feel and an example of how to interrupt. Our anti-bullying group works on making skits and slides for the next year's in school bullying lessons. Now here's my classmate Lynn.
Hello, my name is Lynn Fee. I am representing Ron Russell for the Asian American Pacific Islander Heritage Month, and I also signed up for the band petition, but that's not the main point. So, Asian American and Pacific Islanders are people with origin from Asia or Pacific Islands, with a wide range of ethnicity and cultures such as Chinese, Indian, Filipinos, Vietnamese, Korean, and many more. The first Asian immigrant of record was a 14-year-old Japanese fisherman named Manchiro. Next slide, please. It was initiated by the President Jimmy Carter in 1979, beginning as a week-long celebration. But in 1992, Frank Horton of New York and others introduced resolution to expand the celebration to a month long. And the month of May was chosen to coincide with 2 historical milestones, with the arrival of the first immigrant on the May 7th of 1843, and completion of transcontinental railroad built by Chinese immigrant on May 10th, 1869. And I'm gonna pass it next to my classmate over here.
Hello, board members. I'm glad to be here. I'm Afat Sahil, a 6th grader at Ron Russell Middle School. In this slide, I'm presenting data on our Asian American Pacific Islander student population. At Ron Russell, we have 185 students combined who identify as Asian American and Pacific Islanders, 140 of them who identify as Asian Americans and 45 who identify as Pacific Islanders. District-wide, 15% of students identify as Asian Americans and 3% as Pacific Islanders. Next slide, please. This slide highlights prominent Asian American and Pacific Islanders famous figures. Please take a moment to acknowledge and recognize them. Next slide, please. This final slide showcases books by Asian American Islander and Pacific Islander authors. Thus, thank you for your time.
Thanks, y'all. Y'all did awesome. Thank you so much for presenting on what your schools are doing. I did by mistake miss somebody earlier during public testimony. Thomas Duncan, do you want to speak now or do you just want to write us your testimony? Okay.
Hello, everybody. I'm a preschool teacher over at Mill Park. It's much easier to talk to preschoolers than it is adults, so I apologize. Oh, I need this. So I am a union representative at Mill Park. I came in halfway through the year, right after the contract was signed, and I asked the staff around what they felt about the contract and how it was resolved, and I got 2 responses. One staff said that that they had an experience. This individual said that they had to take both of their cats into the vet in April. That would cost over $960. 2 days later, their heat pump was no longer working, and that was another $350 to fix. While my raise didn't cover it, it did allow me not to get completely overwhelmed and freaked out. I knew I would be able to pay for it off in just a couple of months instead of a year, instead of a ton of interest. I have been able to put a few extra payments on my student loans as well. Thank you for listening to your staff at each and every school. This raise has made a difference to all and to our lives and my family, and I thank you. Another staff said that the pay bump has allowed them to quit their side job and was able to focus more on their family and creative projects, and their work-life balance has definitely improved since. And this is my own personal statement. Yes, when you ask staff, especially licensed professionals, they do talk about the extra day they got in their contract and the pay increase. But the one thing I hear over and over again from the staff is how much they appreciate you settling the contract before going on strike. You may not know, or you may do know, that when you walk the halls of Mill Park, you see excited children, happy staff, and welcoming, loving family. You couldn't tell that we may be one of the largest schools in poverty, and if they miss school, that means missing a meal, missing interaction, or missing an interaction and interacting. I apologize. Missing interaction with guidance from an adult because they are at home watching themselves because both parents have to work to make ends meet. And at Mill Park, we're a family, and the fact that we did not have to go on strike meant continuing the family that Mill Park has cultivated even before my time there. And that is one of the things that I am most grateful for because I teach the youngest of young, and they are amazing and wonderful, and every day I enjoy working with them. I can say that even though the days are hard sometimes, I wouldn't trade it for the world. And I know that it to be true for almost every single teacher at Mill Park. We love and care we love what we do, and we care very much about it. And the kids make it amazing, and we just want to give them the tools to succeed. And thank you so much for us able to do that. Thank you.
Thank you. Perfectly on time. Also got note that the student that was in here earlier, Abraham Cortez, came back. Hi.
Hello, my name is Abraham Cortez. First name spelled Abraham, and last name spelled Cortes. Right now, I am in concert orchestra playing a violin, and since all of our symphonic players, or most of them, are seniors, they will graduate and leave us, so there won't be any symphonic and probably something else. I don't know. I forgot. And Lindbergh told us, I think it was Wednesday, that she was going to be teaching a freshman class Level Up. And we were all questioning, like, why would she go to Level Up? She took a major in music, and she doesn't know. But what I wanted to say is that for the incoming freshmen and to people that I know that will probably go to Symphonic, if there is, names Tim and Lynn, I just want them to be able to go through the top because I know they have a lot of talent. And since Symphonic probably going to get cut, and well, of course, for some of my other friends that are in band, I'm also switching over because switching schools. So I want to have my friends that are coming in to be able to have an opportunity to play from like jazz band from 1, even though that's going to get cut. I don't want it to get cut because I don't know if they'll be able to be prepared for jazz band number 2. So I just want them to be prepared before something else happens. And that's pretty much the end of my speech.
Thank you. And thank you everyone again for being here, and those who testified. I said earlier, for those who weren't here, that we do public comment at near the end, and then you could always watch on YouTube later. But we're going to move forward with our Asian American, Native Hawaiian and Pacific Islander Heritage Month proclamation, and we usually read it. We split the reading between the board members, so we're going to do that again as our usual habit. And we're going to start with Director Ender, and then switch. Thank you.
David Douglas School District Proclamation proclaiming the month-long celebration of Asian American, Native Hawaiian, and Pacific Islander Heritage Month in May. Whereas Asian American and Pacific Islander heritage in the United States was celebrated beginning in 1978 and was made into a month-long event in 1992. And
whereas Asian American, Native Hawaiian, and Pacific Islander AAN-HPI Heritage Month seeks to honor and recognize the contributions of residents from the continent of Asia and the Pacific Islands, and
whereas Native Hawaiians, Chinese, and Japanese were the first to migrate to the Pacific Northwest and were known for handling canoes and transporting goods, construction, and railroad expansion, and
whereas Asian Pacific encompasses all of the Asian continent and the Pacific Islands of Melanesia, Micronesia, and Polynesia, and
whereas during Asian American, Native Hawaiian, and Pacific Islander Heritage Month, we acknowledge Asian, Native Hawaiians, and Pacific Islanders have lived and worked in Oregon for more than 200 years, contributing to Oregon and the United States economy, culture, education, politics, art, literature, science, and technological developments, despite institutional and systemic injustices designed to prevent and limit these achievements and contributions. And
whereas during AAN-HPI Heritage Month, we acknowledge the additional determination, hard work, and perseverance AAN-HPI must put forth to be heard and seen, and that these additional efforts are a result of inequitable institutional and systemic injustices. And
whereas despite these contributions and leadership, the role of AAN-HPI in U.S. history has been consistently overlooked and undervalued in the literature, teaching, and study of American history. And
whereas we cannot deny the unique challenges and complicated, sometimes violent histories of peoples, nations, and empires across Asia and the Pacific, but we can commit to working together to strengthen our community for the future.
whereas racially motivated discrimination and harassment is at a high, with a national and local spike in hate crimes against the AAN-HPI community, especially targeting its Muslim, South Asian, and Southeast Asian members. And
whereas Asian and Pacific Islanders are among the fastest growing communities in Oregon and Multnomah County, this migration has been both voluntary and forced due to war and environmental degradation in their native countries. And
whereas 86.3% of Asian students in the 2023-2024 four-year cohort graduated, 45.5% of Native Hawaiian Pacific Islander students graduated, and 80.4% of Asian Pacific Islander students graduated, a higher percentage than the all-student cohort average percentage of 69.4%. And
whereas 15.1% of enrolled students are Asian and 3% are Pacific Islander, and these populations increased 0.6 percentage points and 1.7 percentage points respectively over the past 10 years. And
whereas the Asian student population organizes and promotes student success for Asian students. And
whereas 5.34% of the David Douglas School District workforce has self-identified as AAN-HPI, and the percentage has increased 30.76 percentage points over the past 5 years. And wait, did I skip?
Okay, whereas 3.84% of district leadership, supervisors, managers, principals have self-identified as Asian American, Native Hawaiian, Pacific Islander, and
Whereas 0% of union leadership has self-identified as AANHPI, and
Whereas 40%, 22 out of 55 of the ASB student leadership has identified as AAN, HPI, and
Whereas the David Douglas School District is committed to and advocates for equal educational, professional, and social opportunities for AANHPI students, and
Whereas the strategic hiring plan outlines specific strategies to increase staff of color, including a Grow Your Own program with 42 staff of color enrolled.
whereas the David Douglas School District has adopted educational equity policy and the equal education opportunity policy that states our commitment to closing the achievement gap for Asian American, Native Hawaiian, Pacific Islander students and creating an educational environment where all students can benefit equally from the educational programs offered. And
whereas the district is working towards eliminating the racial predictability and disproportionality on all aspects of education and articulated action steps in the adopted district strategic plan and district equity plan. And
whereas during AAN HPI Heritage Month, we focus on the critical role of education in the history of Asian American, Native Hawaiian, Pacific Islander Americans, and
whereas the district collaborates and partners with the community-based organizations like IRCO, Asian Family Center, to form strong relationships in a culturally appropriate way and to provide the space for feedback and guidance to district leaders on improving outcomes and opportunities for AANHPI students and families in the district. And
Whereas AANHPI community members have been disproportionately impacted by incidences of hate and discrimination during the COVID-19 pandemic, and these experiences have disproportionately impacted our youth.
now, therefore, I, Gabriela Saldaña Lopez, Chair of the David Douglas School Board of Directors, do hereby proclaim May 1st to May 31st, 2025 to be Asian American, Native Hawaiian, and Pacific Islander Heritage Month in the David Douglas School District. Be it further resolved that the David Douglas School Board of Directors strongly encourages our staff and community to observe, recognize, and celebrate the culture, heritage, and contribution of Asian American, Native Hawaiian, and Pacific Islanders to our country, our state, our cities, and our schools. Thank you, everyone. Well, we're going to continue with more comments, starting with our DDEA comment from President Myrie.
Good evening. I have to start my report by recognizing the organizing that happened. As a union leader and an organizer, this was impressive. So thank you, students. Good job. Secondly, this is Teacher Appreciation Week. And so it's always a great joy to have some recognition for our amazing educators across the district. I get the pleasure of delivering the Costco cakes to the schools, which is our educators take their cake very seriously. So it's always a fun day, and you get the smiles and all of that. So I want to go back to our May Day rally. So on May 1st, as you know, we had a rally on 122nd in front of the South Palahurst building. We had over 100 union members there. There were also 2 board members, so Jose and Althea, thank you so much for joining us. And I know that Stephanie drove through honking her horn in appreciation. We appreciate that as well. Heather, you did? Okay, thank you. It was a great event. We had classified staff, some administrative staff, some parents and some students out there holding our signs. The point of that rally was to draw attention to the needs of public education, workers' rights, the lack of funding that we have for public education, and our students deserve better. We are trying to draw local attention to this issue so that people will contact their legislators. The state budget is not yet set, and they're coming in at $11.36 billion. As we know, that is a cuts budget. It is not enough. We need at least 12.3, and I don't have a lot of confidence that we're going to get there, but we're going to keep advocating and keep trying. So please continue to communicate with our legislatures, especially those who are on the Ways and Means Committee who set that budget. The May 1st rally will likely become an annual event for David Douglas Education Association on International Workers' Day, and we look forward to seeing people out with us next year. So stay tuned. I do want to speak a little bit about the budget tonight. First, I would like to say having the budget committee meeting during Teacher Appreciation Week is just rough, especially in the years when we're cutting. People were made aware last Friday that they were cut from their positions or being administratively transferred. And then we had the budget committee meeting on the Monday of Teacher Appreciation Week. My humble ask is to try to look at that calendar and move it off of Teacher Appreciation Week if you can. It doesn't feel super appreciative to know that you're being administratively transferred or cut, and that we're having less support in our school buildings next year because of all the classified cuts as well. We have great concerns over the budget, and I know that you do as well. So if we can, I don't know what the possibility is around that to move it off of Teacher Appreciation Week. I know that there was a concerted effort not to tell the people that they were being cut and administratively transferred during Teacher Appreciation Week, which we know a very large district to the south did that last year. And so I appreciate that, but I don't know if the Friday before is better, honestly. So there's that. We have great concerns over the increase of class sizes next year, because although we are not in the same seat as many other districts around us, cutting hundreds of staff, we will see cuts to our classrooms next year. The number of classrooms being fewer means that class size goes up. At the same time, removing IA support from those classrooms, as well as other departments in the district, it's harmful to our students and to our staff. And I think that we have to continue looking at how we budget the things that we are choosing to value, and really thinking about who we are as a district, and making those decisions. Our budget committee meeting, I have been to possibly more than anyone in this room, other than Pat, maybe in other districts. And it feels a lot like a rubber stamp. We come to that meeting, and while there was some discussion, it's not like going really through the budget and really digging through it and having sort of this discussion deeply, and then seeing, sorry, I need my water. Sorry. Dry. Going through all the sections of the budget and really talking about it, and really talking about the numbers of people that are affected. What we see in the budget is an FTE number. And when you see an FTE number for licensed, it's often a full-time position. When you see FTE for classified, it is a less than full-time position. So while the number looks smaller, it's more people that are affected. So a little more transparency in those discussions, and really digging in and really trying to figure out why the decisions were made that were made, and having that discussion as part of that committee meeting. It's the first time that the budget committee comes together and really talks about the budget. And as a person who's been in this district for 28 years as an employee, it often just feels like we are more interested in expediting that process and finishing in one night than actually digging in and having a discussion about the budget. So that's from the audience perception. That's what that feels like. And I can't speak to, what you all go through on the budget. But hearing that next year might be worse, I think taking some time to really look at that process and making it a little more meaningful to the people who are watching that meeting, because I don't know, there's very rarely public comment at that meeting, and I think it's because the public doesn't even know anything about the budget, and I don't think that we spend any time trying to educate our community about the budget. And then you see what you see today is there's a little bit of information out there, and there's not all the information out there, so there's some organizing around some of that. So that's what I'm going to leave you with tonight. I really appreciate all the work that you do put into the budget, and I know that there is work that happens behind the scenes that is unseen by all of us sort of out here. But I think our kids deserve better than what they're getting right now. So everybody needs to stand up for that.
Thank you. Next is the OSEA comment by President Black.
Thank you, Stephanie, for kind of putting into words some of the conversation that we had the other night around those FTEN numbers and what that looks like for classified. And then also, I'm a former band mom of 4 students, and I had my son, my youngest, who excelled in school but didn't really like it. He got up every morning at 5 o'clock without hassle to get to jazz band, so thank you guys. I'm going to just do some highlights of OSEA in the last month or so. I'm not going to go into deep diving because I've done that the last few months. We really had fun with DDEA in the May Day rally out on 122nd and drawing attention to budget funding and what that means for David Douglas. Last month at our April board meeting, we had our general meeting, we had elections, and Kathy Lauterbach, who's the secretary at Cherry Park, is retiring this year, breaking my heart. We've been a good team for the last 8 years. So we had general elections, and Mary Ann Dunbar, who's at Ventura Park, will be taking her place and joining myself, Jen Ford, and Tiffany Hoofnagel as part of our e-board. And then we appointed Spencer Valdez from Gilbert Heights to be a new position for us, VP of Membership. On Tuesday, we had a very successful reclass for our elementary lab techs. And I just want to point out the hard work that they did showing the changes that were made to their JAQ. And I wanted to congratulate them on the hard work that they've done, and also thank HR for the research and the pay studies they had to do to make this happen for them. And then finally, we're bargaining. We're ready to go. We've been working since January, diligently going through each of our articles, and looking forward. We're waiting to join you guys at the table, and so we're looking forward to getting some dates and moving forward with this process to make some great improvements for working conditions for classified staff. So thank you.
Thank you, Darla. We're going to have Jen Busher and team talk about 9th grade houses presentation. Hey, y'all. Good evening.
Good evening, school board. I believe you know who I am. I'm the principal at David Douglas High School. To my left is one of my assistant principals, OJ Gully. To my right is Valerie Hill, one of my other assistant principals. And we are here tonight to talk about one of the mandates coming down from the Oregon Department of Education. and fulfilling some of those requirements, specifically tonight talking about our our incoming ninth graders. Next slide, please. So just to kind of ground us in where we're going, our mission at David Douglas High School is to cultivate an inclusive learning environment that nurtures the whole student, academically, socially, and emotionally, in preparation for the world of work. We take a lot of pride in that. Tonight, we are really going to highlight bullet point number 1, providing equitable, high-quality instruction that empowers our students to think critically, communicate effectively, and lead with integrity, and especially for our incoming ninth graders. We start, next slide, please, sorry. We start every one of our staff meetings at David Douglas with our school improvement plan, which I know you are all aware of our graduation rate. And what we are currently doing is not working for many of our students. So we are trying to look at ways to really increase that graduation rate at the high school. So looking at our graduation rate, our goal for this year is to increase our 2024-25 graduation rate from 69% to 72%. I don't know if we're going to reach it, but we are working hard. Whether we all like it or not, we are graded on how many students cross that stage at the end of the year, right? We're also, tonight, we are really going to highlight our ninth grade on track to graduation. We know that increasing our ninth grade on track from 75% in 2023-24 to 77% for 2024-25, that would be a huge step. We also know, we put down there, approximately 81% of ninth graders who are on track to graduate, who are on track graduate in 4 years, compared to 22% of those that are off track. So really, tonight you're going to hear, we are putting some wraparound services, if you will, around our incoming ninth graders. And then number 3, increasing our relationships due to our Youth Truth Survey. We are really honing in on our relationships, and we are wanting to increase that score of a 3.19 to 3.22. Our teachers do an incredible job of connecting before content. So tonight, everything that we're doing at the high school comes back to one of these 3 buckets. That has been our goal since the beginning of the year. That's what you're going to hear about tonight. Next slide, please. And again, I just want to reiterate our goal, right? How we are graded, right, by the state is how many of our students get across that stage. And we want to increase that rate significantly. And we believe one way to do that is turning it over to my assistant.
All right, thank you. Next slide, please. I'm going to start off with a quick little history lesson. So high school success is not new. It's originally was Measure 98, and it was started in November of 2016. It's had several different iterations, and the latest version is the 2.0 rubric. And so we are tasked with making sure that our programming at David Douglas, in order to continue to be eligible for high school success funds, which we rely on heavily, that we are in compliance. And as Jen indicated, our goal really is to make sure that we're catching our kids early. We want to make sure that we are getting them on track and keeping them on track so that they are more likely to get across that stage in those 4 years. 81%, she said, that if they're on track, will graduate in 4 years. Okay. In order to maintain eligibility, we need to follow the rubric. We have to prove to ODE that we are in fact following the rubric. And our funding can be used for those 3 main areas, which is dropout prevention, career and technical education, and then our college level education opportunities. Next slide, please. So there are 4 areas identified in the rubric. So teacher collaboration, reducing chronic absenteeism, systems ensuring on-time graduation, and equitable assignment to advanced courses. So we're going to touch on 2 of these 4 rubric areas tonight. The first is teacher collaboration, and then we'll look again at equitable assignment to advanced courses, because we know that you all were interested in both of those areas. So the first area, teacher collaboration, really focuses on a 9th grade on-track team. So if you would go to the next slide, please. we wanted to do this work really intentionally. And so we partnered with the Multnomah Education Service District, who in turn is also partnered with the Center for High School Success. And they have been leading this work at the Center for High School Success for a number of years. It has been well studied, well documented, tried and true at this point. And so we have collaborated with MESD, the Center for High School Success, and then we're traveling this path alongside other districts in the area. So Park Rose is part of this conversation, Barlow is part of this conversation, as is PPS. So learning from them, going through the process alongside them, and then really taking from the work that the center has done. So they laid out a roadmap for 9th grade success, looking at these 5 areas: data, teams, interventions, transition, and instruction. And so we have spent some really intentional time working with this roadmap and then working with our identified teams and rolling out what that's going to look like. If you'd go to the next slide, please. So just a couple of things on here, just that it's really strategic how we are leading this out. Our goal is to really provide wraparound services for all of our students and to provide a really intentional and really thoughtful houses or teams system so that our teachers feel like they are working within a cohort, not only of students, but also of teachers, so that they can truly stand out for our students and provide them with the kinds of resources and access to supports that they all deserve and need. Next slide, please. One more. So we have cohorted our entire 9th grade class for next year into 4 houses: Summit, Cascade, Ocean, and Timber, keeping a bit of a Pacific Northwest vibe there while also spelling Scots. So every single one of our 9th graders will fall into one of these 4 houses, and they will be provided wraparound supports. So all of these teachers within a house will have a shared prep where they can get together twice a week, where they are going to be talking about the students that they share, what kinds of supports are those students in need of, where are they excelling, where are they struggling, how can they connect them with the right resources, what other teachers can help them support. They will also have strategies classes, so every 9th grade student is going to have either a 9th grade strategies class, a curriculum support class, or a literacy class that is going to help provide strategies that are tried and true, that are best practice, and so that we are setting all of our kids up to be successful straight out of the gate, and then we can help keep them on track rather than trying to get them back on track. Next slide, please. One more thing that I'm going to talk about before I hand it over to OJ is equitable assignment to advanced courses. This is the 4th component of our rubric that we need to prove that we are fulfilling. So if you go to the next slide, please. In order to meet the eligibility indicators, we need to demonstrate that we have ensured all incoming students are given an opportunity to earn advanced distinction in courses, that our school staff meets with all students regarding their course selections, their personal interests, and their on-track information. All of our students are meeting with counselors multiple times per year. We are looking at on-track information. We are promoting our variety of courses, whether they're advanced courses, whether they're CTE courses, whether they're dual credit bearing courses. Our students are all getting these touch points over the course of the year multiple times. These are available options for all of our students, regardless of what track they're on, and making sure that they know their opportunities and how to access them. Next slide, please. Again, eligibility requirement indicators that we are tasked with demonstrating is removing our inequitable barriers from the middle school transition to advanced courses and offering flexible pathways. So OJ is going to speak a little bit more to that. And then students are advised about the benefits of earning college credits, including CTE and dual credits. And that's where I want to focus on the next slide, because that's one of the last areas that falls under my purview. So if you look up there, it's a lot of classes listed. But what's really important to note is that we offer 34 dual credit bearing courses, which offer 187 credits. So that is what we offer. Okay, we are aligned with Central Oregon Community College for our culinary arts programs. We're aligned with Clackamas Community College for our French program, Eastern Oregon University for our college chem, our early childhood pathway, as well as speech. And then Mount Hood Community College, you'll see, has the vast majority of the courses. Some of those are advanced level mathematics. We've got coding, a lot of CTE courses listed there, music courses listed there as well, Spanish, ASL. And I wanted to just kind of put some numbers because it's fun to look at how many we offer, but how many were actually earned. So last year, in the 23-24 school year, the total number of credits earned at Mount Hood Community College was 4,902. The total number of credits earned at Central Oregon Community College was 84. At Clackamas Community College, it was 100, and at Eastern Oregon University, it was 805. Okay, and then in terms of students, we had 394 individual students earning credits at Mount Hood. If you counted them for every time they took a class at Mount Hood that got them credit, it would be 1,301. We had 21 kids earn credit from Central Oregon Community College, 11 from Clackamas, and 175 from EOU. So these credits are available, and our kids are taking advantage of them.
All right, good evening. In addition, can we go to the next? Oh, we already did. So in addition to the dual credit that Ms. Hill just talked about, we also offer a number of AP college level courses, highly rigorous, created by the College Board, the curriculum, the courses, all through the College Board. So these also offer a number of college credit for our students to be able to access. If you can see up there, we offer currently 12 credits or 12 courses, AP courses that offer 36 college level credits right now currently. In addition to that, we have students doing some self-studies, independent studies with those four on the right. So we offer a number of AP level courses currently at our school. Go ahead, next slide. Thank you. In addition, next year, the 25-26 school year, we are adding an additional 4 AP level courses at the sophomore level, the junior level, and then we have Spanish and French that, depending on their language level, so that grade doesn't matter. It depends on where they are language-wise. But we are bringing in, and what we hear is that the high school is getting rid of advanced level courses. No, if anything, we're adding advanced level courses to our school. But the catch is, go ahead and go to the next slide. The catch is right here. We want all of our students to be able to access these courses. And I won't go deeply into the numbers, but what you'll find, and I have those, what you'll find is our AP courses right now do not look like our community. They don't make up the demographics of our school and community. And that's important to us as a district. When we talk about equity and access and inclusion and all those things, that's huge to us. So Ms. Hill talked about it, but here's what we are doing about it. No, we're not eliminating advanced level courses, but at the same time, at the freshman level, she talked about the house system. We want all of our middle schoolers to come in with an equal playing field, allowed to have access to those courses. And why don't they have access? Why aren't they taking those classes? A number of reasons, right? But one of the things we feel and that we discuss all the time is, do they have the confidence that they can meet it? Do they have the confidence that they can reach and be successful in those classes? So with this house system and the wraparound services that we continue to talk about, we are also bringing in where our core classes that are all taught in this house system at the freshman level, they are bringing in pre-AP level strategies, okay? And these are strategies that all of our teachers will be teaching in the houses to prepare them and give them the confidence to meet and have success, academic success in those classes. So again, all of our teachers are doing that. She talked about the freshman strategies class that we're implementing that is also going to support our core teachers to be able to meet the needs of our kids, to give them confidence and the skills to be able to not only access them, but be successful in them. So that's huge to us. Again, we're excited about it, and this is just a start for us. We're going to keep pushing and adding more as we go. But again, access is huge, and we want to start there. Go ahead. This is just a summary of what we talked about. We are cohorting all of our freshmen into the house system, wraparound services where our teachers will have extra eyes, provide extra support to all of our kids at the freshman level. The next one is, that's the one thing I didn't talk about. Within the freshman house system, again, we didn't get rid of advanced, but what we're doing is we're providing enrichment opportunities, enhanced units where students can opt in at the freshman level to be able to gain honors credit and advanced level credit. So our freshmen will also have the opportunity to still continue to receive that credit through advanced level units. It allows them to go deeper and be above and beyond and opt in instead of what we currently have right now. The next one, I talked about the pre-AP strategies across the freshman level in the houses. That's going to give kids the confidence and skills to be successful. We talked about removing barriers for our middle schoolers. We want them to have access and inclusion, to be included, and the confidence to be in those, all of those classes, AP classes. And then we don't want to leave out our teachers. Our teachers are highly qualified. They are amazing teachers. Okay, and these pre-AP strategies, this house system is only going to help them to collaborate more, align more, and do some of the things that we know our kids deserve. So we're excited about that. I think that is it. I wanted to make one more comment that our ASB president, Ms. Kate, said at the beginning. She said that she talked about Unite Week, and she talked about the staff versus student volleyball game, and she said that the seniors will win that. I am standing on record right now and telling you that the staff will win that volleyball game. So I just wanted to throw that out there. Thank you.
Guess we'll see, huh? We'll look forward to hearing how the game ended up. But in terms of the presentation, thank you so much for being here tonight and talking through this with us. Does anybody have questions? I mean, yeah.
Quick question. Changing the honors, how it works. I know when I was in school, maybe it's different now, but when I was in school, it's important to have honors classes and AP classes on your record when you apply to colleges. How does changing the name of these classes and integrating it affect your kids when they try to apply for college? Have you talked to colleges that actually look for honors classes and see that how they're going to be labeled differently now?
I was just going to say, we're not changing the way they're labeled as honors and advanced classes beyond the freshman level. Okay, so the freshman distinction is that they're all pre-AP. They're all getting those strategies that are going to set them up. Very few classes on a freshman level transcript is what colleges are going to be looking at. They're going to be looking at how many you're taking over the course of your time in high school, how many of those advanced level classes you're taking at the senior level when it's more advanced coursework. So those are not going away.
Follow up, because I know, at least in Florida, some colleges redo your GPA and weight your classes differently. So if your class is labeled honors, it's a bigger weight, so your GPA is different. So that's why I'm like, I took nothing but honors classes freshman year because I couldn't take AP. Mm-hmm. So it's like, my GPA would have looked very different had I been able to.
So our goal is students will still have the opportunity to get that honors distinction within this house system. What that's exactly going to look like right now, we are working through that with these teachers that have been identified to teach these in this house system. So there will still be, what OJ was talking about, there's still going to be a pathway to get that honors distinction within their English class or their science class.
I'll just start with one question. I am struggling to understand how this fits into the 9th grade schedule. Are we talking about, I'm going to bring up Level Up. I personally have a feeling that it is not an effective class. It is way too long. It's a whole year. And that is not saying that the teachers aren't amazing, but having 2 9th graders and seeing the work they're doing, sometimes it is a lot of busy work to get to a topic. And I've heard that from other kids who've gone through David Douglas. That's like the one class they wish was not so long. And I'm sure that there are strategies in there that youth need. What is the plan for that particular 9th grade strategy? And how does this fit in terms of time and structure with that? Which sounds like it was originally planned to meet some of those similar goals. I just want to know that. Yeah.
So I can speak to that a little bit. So Level Up has been kind of an iteration of a lot of different classes. It started out as personal financial planning, and then it went in to become digital literacy, and it ended up in Level Up. As you know, we have the addition of a new career credit that is required for the state diploma, which we're just calling the SB3 classes for right now, but it's a higher ed class and it's a personal finance class. And so looking at our FTE, looking at the opportunities that we have, what we've decided to do is we have actually cut Level Up for next year. So teachers that were teaching Level Up are transitioning to teaching those SB3 classes, the personal finance and the higher education, and then those strategies that were really at the heart of what we were trying to do with Level Up. Some of those strategies, along with other strategies that we have done research, that we have the best practice, things that are going to be really helping our students, those are going to become the focus of that strategies class that each of our freshmen are going to take.
Semester long.
Yeah. Semester
Okay.
long.
I also think that it limits the opportunity for other extracurriculars that might be keeping those freshmen in class.
So the strategies class will be a semester. The Level Up was a year long, so they're actually going to be getting a half of a year back.
I'm so
in
glad to
the
hear that.
opportunity.
I think that's fantastic. Wonder if one of those could be a Jazz 1 class. I wasn't going for the applause, but you know.
I'm curious. So, because OJ, you had said, freshmen are starting at a clean slate. What I'm hearing as part of that, and correct me if I'm wrong, does that mean that freshmen could get into AP or honors courses?
Honors, yes. Freshmen will have the opportunity to gain honors credit through those pre-AP units and things like that. So honors, yes.
But it's not a separate class.
No, it is not a separate class. It's an extension of an honors class and things like that. But primarily those pre-AP strategies are going to prepare our freshmen to be able to have academic success in those AP classes and providing a level playing field for all of our freshmen to be able to take those.
Thank you. Just a quick follow-up, because I feel like sometimes students are, instead of motivated to take harder classes, they're kind of held back from that. So if we're all starting in these classes, in these houses, and starting with these AP strategies, how are we, you going to ensure that students are actually encouraged, whereas instead of deterred to take these classes? Is there going to be any, measures of accountability or measuring how many students then go on to take certain, AP classes and whatnot? I'm sure you're still figuring out, but kind of what will that look like?
Yeah, we are. Like everything, we're going to collect data around what we're doing, right? The next year is year one of this, and then we're going to, look at every single student. But throughout the year, our teachers will be encouraging, empowering, preparing our students and calling it out and letting students know where they are academically and giving them the confidence to take those classes. So we'll be talking through it throughout the year. One thing that Ms. Bush has brought in is our grade level assemblies. And those are some of the things that also as an administration that we will be pointing out and encouraging and empowering our students through those assemblies as well. So
thank you.
Yeah, thanks for this. It looks great. Change is hard. So I think this originally came to us because there was, some either misunderstanding or some rumors about. What can you tell us about anticipated pain points? Oftentimes, we're catching up to public comment.
What can I tell you about? Did you say growing pains? Sorry, I didn't hear you.
Anticipated pain points or challenges, things that have already been voiced that you either want to address now or we should be, keeping an ear out?
Well, I think you said it best. Change is hard, right? We know research shows. I mean, if you look at some of the surrounding schools that are doing this with their freshmen, you are seeing increases in graduation rates, right? We have tried this several times, not on this level. We've kind of picked and chose what ninth graders were going to be in what we called freshman academy. We've never been brave enough to do it with all of them, but we're going to see. It's going to be hard. It's going to be messy. We don't have all the answers. We don't have all the answers yet, but I want to highlight just that last bullet point. We've got really highly qualified teachers that are helping us develop this as we go. So we've had a couple professional development days to start working with these teachers and to start working with these teams. We are already making some big strides, and we feel like we've got to give it a try, right? Because what we are currently doing, the data is showing it's not working, right? A 69% graduation rate. We should not be okay with that, and that's where we're at. So we've got to be willing to try something a little bit different to set kids up to be more successful.
Yeah, totally agreed. Thank you. I think I'm always going to be looking out for how we can do communication better as a team, because I think that's the feedback we continually get, is that people feel surprised or are left out of the decision-making process. So let us help you with change in communication.
I have some questions. With the strategies, what are we calling them? The enhancements and support courses. How are you choosing which freshmen are getting which of those? Like, it looks like it's curriculum support or literacy intervention.
So curriculum support students will be, those will take place with transition meetings, right, with case managers and things like that. Those students will get a certain class. Literacy classes, we have 3 classes of a class we call Read 180, right, which is helping students just to be able to read. Due to Brooke O'Neill's team, due to some of the ways that we have allocated funds, we are increasing those classes. We're going to have 6 sections of Read 180 next year, and some students, based on some of their scores in middle school, we are being really intentional with every 8th grader that's coming in. We are working diligently and making sure we're getting them in classes where they can be supported, right? And so we've got curriculum support, literacy, and that literacy piece. The new math, I don't want to get too much in the weeds here, but our new math curriculum, if you can't read, it's going to be really difficult to pass English or pass math. So that Read 180 class, and they can test out of that Read 180 class throughout the year. And then those other students that aren't identified as curriculum support or going into the literacy class will be in the freshman strategies class. For a half a semester.
And the kids that are in curriculum support and literacy, they don't have to then go back and do the second semester? They don't have to do the strategies?
No. So the strategies are going to be throughout all of them. The curriculum support class will have those strategies, plus it will be other strategies that those students need, especially if they're part of their IEP, those different kinds of strategies that they need to meet them where they're at. So it's kind of the strategies plus, right? The literacy class, again, it's those strategies that everyone's getting, whether it's in the strategies class, whether it's in the curriculum support class, but it's that plus the reading piece, because they are behind in their literacy abilities. And so how can we help, again, continue to scaffold and meet them where they're at? So the curriculum support and the literacy component, those are really kind of like bolstered versions of the strategies, so that everybody is getting universal strategies, but then we're meeting each of those students where they're at individually.
Okay. With the houses, also same question. How are you kind of grouping students? Are you making sure that there's like that they're representative equally? Are they mixing up incoming middle schools? And then also with that, like, what do you foresee in terms of challenges? Like, if you have some sort of that you maybe need to separate behaviorally or something like that? Do you have the flexibility to switch grouping?
We do. We are working very closely with our middle schools to figure out like behavioral issues and things like that. What are the dynamics of the students? Really, what we want to do when we schedule it's completely random at first, right? But then we take into account the input from the middle schools and then make changes, manual changes from there. But really, it is even. We have a case manager on each team. We have a counselor for each team. So we are really working hard to really balance those things out. The one thing I'll add is, and it was maybe like a challenge that you asked about, out of our 170 multilingual learners, right? We have, most of them will be housed. We have 40 that won't be housed, right? And that is due to their language level. Right now, there are newcomers. And so that is one thing that we are working hard at right now to figure out how to also house them and make sure that they have those wraparound services for all of our core teachers as well. So that's a challenge, but we're going to balance them and work closely with our middle schools and figure out who goes where.
Couple more questions. In terms of the math piece, so I know this is focused on science, ELA, and health, right? That has the pre-AP strategies, and you're treating everybody kind of coming in with the same approach. Tell us what's different about math approaches, and I'm especially interested in the differences that from the incoming middle schoolers in what they've had opportunities to access. So some of our middle school students have more access to honors, integrated one, for example, than others, and so I'm wondering how you're approaching that.
That's exactly why math isn't part of the houses, right? So, because I think math is part of the houses, and we were talking a little bit about this. So, I think students come in at such a varied level with math, right? Most of our ninth graders will be in integrated one, right? So we have attached a couple, and it's not going to be perfect, right? Here's one of our challenges. It's not going to be perfect, but we're hoping in the Summit House, the 2 math teachers that are connected to that house, most of their kids in their classes are part of that house, and they're supporting. Math begged us to be part of the cohort. They're like, we want to be part of this. We are an integral part of this. But again, I mean, some of our students coming in will be in everyday integrated one. Some of them will be in, algebra fundamentals. Some of them will be in integrated one. Some of them are integrated 2. Some of them are integrated 3. So we left that as a place where we could be super flexible and place them where needed.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Can you tell me a little bit, okay, full disclosure, I was on the bargaining team. Spent a lot of time around teacher time and prep, and I am just wondering what's the back end of this in terms of, like, you're talking about all these educators together in a house with strategies, looking at data, like all of that. When does that work happen? Mm-hmm. And how does it align with our contract?
Mm-hmm. That's a great question. So their duty, so every high school teacher has a duty. Their duty each week will be to meet with their team for half their prep period. That's their duty to touch base with their teachers about their kids. Yeah. And then again, we've got paid PD. We've done some paid PD. So we're looking for opportunities to.
No, that's helpful. I'm like, this is a huge change. How is that all gonna So thank you. Appreciate that.
Could we get an update later on, like as we get closer to the start of the school year, just to follow up on this, because I think we all have a lot more questions, but we're severely over time. So I don't want to keep everyone longer. But yeah, I think if a follow-up would be much appreciated. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So we have a few changes to our agenda because we know that folks are waiting for a response from us, but we also have presenters who are here who want to present. So we're going to have 2 more topics where we have presenters presenting, if folks could keep it short as possible. And then we are going to move up our reflections of public comment, which normally are closer to the end so that folks I know have school, have work, things to do. So we want to be respectful of everybody's time, so trying to do that in the best way possible. So we're going to start with our bond update, followed by the science middle school science adoption, just to know, and then the reflection of public comment. So Pat, can you take it away?
Sure, we have Adam Cormack here with RNC Management, and I think Lisa was unable to make it tonight. She's our bond oversight chair.
Is that on? Yeah. Lisa was unable to make it tonight, so she had some family things that came up, so she wanted to, I can give a brief update on some of that. So I think we can skip to the next one. This first page just kind of captures a lot of the projects that we're touching. You can see there's a lot of activity out there right now. There continues to be a lot of good stuff going on. So I'm going to try to get through this pretty briefly. So I think we can go to the next page. And from a big picture of kind of how we are from bond standpoint, we're planning to be back here to present again in August. So we'll have a lot of progress, some updates on where we are in the construction. We'll be deep into the construction by then. Our quarterly bond oversight committee, we met last month, really good meeting with the team. We had a lot of feedback on kind of communication and some other items. We are planning in August to do a site visit with that bond oversight committee to kind of get them in the loop on the CTE building, but then all the other repair and renovation projects. 2025 projects, I'll get into some more of the detail on the projects, but in general, we're in a really good spot to hit the ground running for this summer projects for not just the high school, but all the other repair and renovation projects. I think in all of the projects we have all of our permits procured other than one, and we're anticipating that any day. And some of those projects have already planning in the next 2 weeks to hit the ground running on some early work that we can get done. 2026 projects, all of those are under contract with the design teams. We're in the pre-design phase, and we're just really preparing accordingly for summer 2026. We went through a procurement process to bring on moving contractors. We got a lot of qualified bidders that submitted. We do have a contractor on board. We've already started. We've been working with staff over the last couple months to kind of get them up to date, but now that we have a moving contractor on board, we're getting boxes and just working with this appropriate staff to get ready for summer, the summer wonders at the schools this summer. CMGC process procurement. It's been a couple months back. You guys approved us the findings of facts for us to go out. There's 4 projects 2026 that have some long lead and some challenging, more difficult projects that we went through a procurement process. We did receive 4 proposals from 4 very qualified contractors. We shortlisted those, interviewed those folks, reviewed their proposals, and as of Tuesday, we shortlisted those to the 2 contractors that were either tonight or in a future board meeting going to provide you a recommendation to move forward with those. So we're excited to get through that. We're excited to start that work on those summer 2026 wonders. Those are there's still a lot of challenges from procurement. Other projects, I just wanted to know real quick, I'm not going to go into all of them, but our budgets, we're starting to bring some of those funds. I just wanted to note Pat and her team and all the hard work that's been going in. Not only are we doing the bond scope, but there's a lot of PSEF monies and other funds that have been able to be brought in, which are these projects that we'll be hitting on some of them tonight. You can go to the next page. You can skip this one. Again, that's just for reference of where we got schedule-wise, big picture schedule. All of our projects are on schedule. I'll hit a little bit more detail on the project specifics, but right now, overall, If you want to see more detail on that schedule, it's in there as an attachment, but in general, our schedule for all our projects is we're on schedule. I want to go to the next slide. From a budget standpoint, I can say overall our budget, we're on budget with all of our projects. We've had some challenges. I'm not going to say on some of them, but we planned accordingly to have some contingencies, so we have that in place. We are continuing to reconcile on a monthly, quarterly basis with Pat and her team. And then you'll see in those budgets, if you get into it, we've started to bring some of those PSEF monies over, that Portland Clean Energy funds. And then you can see in the attachment, if you want to look into it, we've kind of identified all the additional grants that we're chasing that is up and above all the bond promise work. So great work again to Pat and her team on doing that. There's a lot of rocks being turned over and a lot of additional work that we're being able to do. So next slide, I'm going to jump in. I'm going to try to get through these pretty briefly, like I said, but the big David Douglas High School CTE project, I do want to make a note. We are on schedule. That says we're not on schedule. We are on schedule. Obviously, months back, we changed the opening date from fall to winter, but we are on schedule for that. We're actually ahead of schedule. The brick team and the Pence team are doing a really good job out there. I don't know if anyone's had an opportunity, but the building's really coming to shape. The roof, I'm excited to report that the roofing is substantially done. So there's a lot of odor and other things. So a lot of these scopes are starting to be completed. It's starting to really come to fruition. A lot of the interior walls are already in. Drywall has actually already started on the inside. Windows on the exterior being installed. And like I said, we're scheduled to walk that site in August with the Bond Oversight Committee. And then I will note just having some student interns is still really exciting to see them in the job trailer and see them on the different sites. So it's really exciting to see that. So you can go to the next one. Some of these pictures are a couple weeks out of date. There's been some more progress. You can go to the next one. There's some interior photos. And then you can go to that next one. That picture right there is a picture of the shop, the auto shop. That has actually been poured. The concrete slab is already in place, and so it's come a long ways even over the last 3 weeks. So if you want to go to the next, David Douglas High School renovation, like I've said in the past, and we continue to be prepared for it, but this is going to be a really impactful. It's going to be a very busy summer on the South Campus with the CTE, with the Performing Arts Center. There's some site work, and there's the CTE renovation that we're doing. So it is going to be a very busy summer. We have a really good team. Pence and the whole entire team is ready and prepared to be successful this summer. But there's a lot going on out there. We're continuing to meet with staff and Valerie and her team on a regular basis as we get closer to construction happening, just working through the logistics, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So we can go to the next one. Intercommon clocks, we learned a lot from last year. We incorporated that into the standards, and we're off to a really good start, and we have everything procured, and we're just ready to hit the ground running for those projects this summer. So we can skip through. I've just left in here Cherry Park. It's a 2024 project. I just wanted to hit on it, that we continue to still have some challenges out there with our contractor. We are engaging them on a daily basis. There's some warranty and some punch list items that are ongoing that we just continue, and we're not going to give up. We're going to get the product that we deserve, but I just wanted to note that it's still a little bit of ongoing. So summer 2025, we kind of have these broke down into some design bid build, which we call it more traditional. You can go to that next slide. Thank you. Design bid build, which is more traditional procurement at Fur Ridge and Mill Park. Both those projects, we do have permit. Fur Ridge, we do have the permit in hand, and Mill Park, that's the one that we're anticipating getting that permit any day. We have pre-construction meetings on a weekly basis, and we're just preparing to be successful this summer. We can go to the next one. The next three projects that I'm talking about is West Palhurst, South Palhurst, and Floyd Light are all the Howard S. Wright, which was procured through a CMGC process. We were able to procure a lot of the equipment months and months and months ago, and so summertime we're going to have all that equipment. Stuff is already showing up. We're already getting prepared for that middle of June start. And at South Powhurst, some of that work is going to start late May, so we're getting an early start on some of those areas that we can. I think we can go to the next one. And then these ones, one more. These ones are just the CMGC, like I noted before. So PNC is recommended to do Mill Park and Lincoln Park, and we're really in just that pre-design phase, and we're identifying all the scope that needs to be ordered early, procured early to get that contractor procuring those. We anticipate within the next 45 days, a lot of that equipment's going to start being procured. And then the next one, Earl Boyles and Gilbert Park, same kind of status up there, pre-design. Howard S. Wright was selected, and we're going to bring that recommendation to the board to proceed with that. And then the last page, these are more we have 3 projects. Design, bid, build, these are more traditional. These are smaller, less procurement requirements. We have a pre-qualified list of contractors that we're anticipating. So we're in the pre-design phase right now. We're planning to go out to bid no later than this fall and be prepared for summer 2026. So I went through that pretty quick. I hope I can answer any questions that you may have. I think in general, though, there's a lot of things that keep me up at night. There's some, but we're in a good spot, and I think it's due to this team and the leadership getting us the answers that we need. And so, questions? I'll shut up, and you can ask any questions.
It doesn't look like we have any, but we appreciate the report and the work on everybody working on this. Really thorough, and it's really great to hear that everything is relatively on schedule, although there are some things that we're really grateful for your work and presenting with us today.
Ask one question?
Yeah, sure.
I'll be very brief, Adam, and you might not have an answer. I know I don't, but a
Yeah.
question I've gotten recently, it's more than once, is do we foresee any impacts with tariffs? If you think about what's happening, are you feeling that? Is the construction trades feeling that? And again, you might not be able to answer, but just...
I don't have an answer other than I think a lot of the projects that we've done, we've already bid out, which is great. It's and so the projects that we're anticipating, we've got some time, and so I think we're hoping that between now and when we go out to bid this fall, we get some more certainties and there's less unknowns out there. But right now, we have, there's some concerns in the construction industry on what that is, and I'm not going to try to say today I have the answers, but we're trying to prepare for that. On the CMGC projects where we have a little bit more lenient, we're accounting for some contingencies for some unknown in those tariffs. For the design bid builds, more traditional, they're a little bit more difficult to do that, but we're putting some plans in place. But I think from a David Douglas standpoint, when we're bidding and what we've already bid out today and is under contract, I think we're in a good spot. So I hope I answered that. Hopefully we'll learn some more over the next couple months when it kind of the dust settles and we can get some bidders. I think on the flip side, though, I think we're in an economy where there's people that are hungry to do work, and there's a lot of subcontractors and general contractors that are excited to get to work. And so I think that balances out some of that, where some of the contractors are sharpening their pencil a little bit more because they need the work, but and that kind of balances out some of those tariffs. So
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. And Brooke, I leave it to you for the middle school science adoption.
And just thank you so much for moving up the agenda. Let's talk some science, shall we? We are really excited to be here. We have quite a team presenting tonight. So we have people from our curriculum instruction department. We have publisher representatives who flew in from Texas and Boston, I believe. So thank you. First time in Portland. We appreciate you being here. And we have teacher representatives who, when we put out the call to action, eagerly said we'll be there. So definitely want to express appreciation for all of you for being here tonight. And we're excited to share the science adoption where we are now. This is going to be a two-part. Tonight you're going to hear about the process the team went through. It was a little different this time because it was a 2-year adoption, and Heather knows she's going to have a small part in this presentation. So we're going to go over the process, and then we're going to bring forward the middle school adoption. And then in June we'll bring forward elementary and high school. And the reason we're doing that differently right now is we changed it up a little bit because we know it was not budgeted originally, and we are in this first year of a state delay that we can do for 2 years. But since it's in the budget, which we're very excited about, there's a lot of work that happens between approval and getting items in the hands of teachers. So for middle school, we just felt like we needed to get started. So anyway, with that, I'm going to turn it over to the team, and I'm going to ask you to introduce yourselves before you speak so everybody knows who you are. So Brennan, I think I'm turning it over to you.
My name is Brennan Brockbank, Science and Health Coordinator.
Carrie Foster, K-12 Curriculum Coordinator. And Stephanie Wallace, I'm here representing Lab Aids.
Next slide, please. In the fall of 2023, we put a call out to teachers to participate in the Science Adoption Committee. We had representatives from all of our schools, as you can see here. Next slide, please. And a picture of them here in this room. This is the beginning of our science adoption process. And yeah, we're going to hear more about that from Carrie.
Next slide, please. All right, the science curriculum adoption is unique because this is the first time we've implemented a 2-year adoption process. As Brooke mentioned, per Division 22, districts have the option to delay a curriculum adoption for up to 2 years, and we chose to delay for 1 year. The decision was based on budget constraints and feedback from our piloting teachers during our previous language arts and math adoptions. They expressed a need to have more time to pilot materials thoroughly, so we extended the process, and that gave us the opportunity to pilot materials longer with students. So our adoption process closely follows our past language arts and math adoptions, where each new adoption brings updated standards and aligned instructional materials at the state level. For those of you who are new to our adoption process, I'll briefly outline the steps and highlight some of the new features we introduced during the science adoption. So we started by forming a K-12 science adoption team focused on reviewing the science standards and participating in professional learning. Additionally, we engaged students through focus groups with STEM industry leaders, conducted a book study, and developed a K-12 vision for science education in David Douglas. To gather diverse perspectives, we collected data through teacher and student surveys, as well as student empathy interviews. This helped us understand what both students and teachers wanted in a new science curriculum, and we'll go into more detail about that in a bit. Our committee then reviewed the ODE's process for vetting instructional materials, analyzed survey data, and used this information to establish our David Douglas priorities. After examining the state adoption list, the adoption team narrowed down our choices to 4 potential curriculums, and by the end of the first year, our elementary and middle school adoption committees selected 2 curriculums to pilot, while high school teachers focused on standard alignment as an entire science department, including for Ridge. So before going into year 2, we were transparent with our adoption committee about the possibility of not having funds for a new curriculum. We gave each level the option to pause or move forward with piloting, and they all chose to continue, aiming to have a curriculum recommendation ready when funds became available. So our middle school team started piloting right away, while elementary and science waited until closer to second semester. So a new feature we added to this adoption process was publisher training for the curriculums to pilot. In previous adoptions, we intentionally relied on teachers to explore and navigate the materials independently to determine how intuitive the curriculum was. However, based on teacher feedback from the pilots, we included initial publisher-led trainings to ensure that teachers felt prepared and supported from the start. So once piloting was underway, teachers evaluate the materials using a scoring rubric and gather student feedback.
Finally, we reconvened to review the data, discuss scoring results, and reach a consensus on the curriculum that best meets the needs of our students in David Douglas.
Next slide, please. Carrie mentioned the bookstore study that we did. These resources that we looked at, Ambitious Science Teaching and the Opportunity Myth, they emphasize creating learning environments where all students, especially those historically underserved, are supported in engaging deeply with scientific reasoning and discourse. From the Opportunity Myth, we learned that all students should have access to learning rigorous grade-level content. Next slide, please. What did we learn? Well, we're really leaning into phenomena-driven science teaching and sense-making, where students have more opportunities to make their learning visible. Next slide, please.
So one new feature that we added to our adoption process was inviting STEM industry leaders in our community to be a part of student-led focus groups. This was for all of us to learn from a wide range of industry leaders how they use science and engineering in their work. The amazing high school students asked science industry leaders questions such as what science and engineering skills were most useful and what advice would you give to help our district prepare students for success in a science-related field. So our very own Heather Franklin was gracious enough to participate. Heather, may I put you on the spot, and can you speak to that experience?
Yeah, well, first I want to highlight who my interviewer was, because she was the most incredible and very well prepared to ask, all kinds of thoughtful questions about, what does a biostatistician do in 9 to 5, and, what kind of things are important to think about. And so it was a really great experience, and I think it's something that was probably really useful for any area, any content area.
Yeah, we personally enjoyed it. Our whole adoption team, that was definitely a highlight. We got feedback that was one of the most amazing things, and we loved inviting our community in and be able to speak to that. So thank you, Heather. We use this learning to help develop our science vision for David Douglas. Next slide, please. Student voice is a very important part of our adoption process. We surveyed over 3,200 students in grades 3 through 12 on what students want in a science curriculum. And we also had our committee members conduct student empathy interviews. We had over 18 elementary students and then 13 middle and high school plus, because we were fortunate enough to interview 2 recent graduates on their experience of science in David Douglas. And so what we learned from the surveys and this empathy interviews was that students strongly prefer hands-on interactive learning, that they value working in groups with peers, they want science that's relevant to their lives and future careers, and they want different ways to show their learning. So, next slide, please. One of the new things we also did in our adoption process was develop a science vision. And so I am going to read this just because it is really powerful and incorporated all of the learning that we've done that we did through our student-led focus groups and our book study. But our vision for science education in David Douglas is to provide a rigorous and equitable K-12 learning experience that guides students to develop critical thinking skills to observe, question, and explain the world around them. We aim to have every student express curiosity, feel welcomed, and see themselves as scientists. We do this by cultivating inclusive environments that foster exploration and problem solving to deepen scientific knowledge so that students actively contribute to a dynamic scientific landscape as conscientious stewards of the earth. Next slide, please. The state of Oregon goes through an extensive vetting process for all high-quality instructional materials, but we also do our own level of vetting to develop our David Douglas priorities. What do we want to see in an adopted curriculum? And so these are some of the things that go into developing our priorities, our local priorities that we review curriculum through. We have Freedom Dream number 1, which is from our staff of color. We always look through an equity lens, and we were very fortunate to have Dr. Mindy Chappell from Portland State University conduct an equitable and culturally responsive approach to science education session with our adoption team. We also lean into research, like Brennan said, from the Ambitious Science Teaching and the Opportunity Myth, and of course our student survey data from our student surveys and our empathy interviews. Next slide, please. And these are our secondary science adoption priorities, so what we review the curriculum through. And priority 1 is to adopt a culturally responsive curriculum that affirms the identity of Black and Brown students, and that comes from our staff of color. Priority 2, to integrate real-world experiences. I'm not going to read through all of them, but hands-on learning, encourages exploration and inquiry to deepen scientific knowledge. Rigorous and challenging learning experiences for our students to be able to think critically and problem solve, and then one that offers demo ideas for students, easily accessible demo ideas for students.
Next slide, please. So for middle school, next slide. The middle school science adoption committee members used a rubric with those 6 priorities. They looked at the instructional design of the curriculum. They looked at the teacher usability as well as how students engage with it. And the 15 middle school science curriculum adoptions were narrowed down from 4 to 2, which were piloted, and they chose LabAIDs. Next slide, please. So we're going to hear from Stephanie Wallace from LabAIDs, and she's going to tell you a little bit more about this curriculum.
Thank you so much. So I myself am a former middle school science teacher in Massachusetts, but for the past 9 years I've been with LabAIDs, and I'm really grateful tonight to have the chance to tell you more about who we are, but also about our program for grades 6 through 8 called Issues in Science. So next slide, please. So LabAIDs, fun fact, has been around for over 60 years. We were actually founded by the gentleman in the top left of that photo there. Don't let the sick threads and the cool chairs fool you. He was a high school chemistry teacher, and he believed, as we do today, that students learn science when they do science. And decades of research supports that not only do students perform better academically when they do science, but they also see science as more relevant to their personal everyday lives when they get to experience it directly as well. So for those 60 years, we have been working with science teachers around the world to bring that vision to life, including here in the state of Oregon. We are currently, as you may know, the science curriculum of choice for Portland Public Schools. We're also in Tillamook and these other counties I've listed up here. And in addition to David Douglas, we're really excited to onboard several other Oregon districts for the 2025-2026 school year as well. Next slide, please. So what does it actually mean to have students doing science? Well, in an Issues in Science classroom, it means that 2/3 of your students' instructional days will be screen-free hands-on lessons. Screen-free. And those lessons range from everything to labs, investigations, debates, models, all these things and more that really mimic the work of scientists. And these activities not only help students access science content in a variety of ways, it also turns them, I like to say, beyond scientists into problem solvers. Problems are a huge deal to us at LabAIDs, and it's actually in the title of this program, Issues and Science. We like to joke that we've got a lot of issues, and we do. Our issues are the foundation of this program. So every single one of the 17 units spread across grades 6 through 8 has a real-world issue or problem that's going to serve as the storyline for that whole unit. So for example, when your middle school students are going to be learning about the human body, they're also going to be learning about how we know medicines are safe before we just give them to people. And at the end of that unit, they actually read different patient profiles, and then they have to suggest treatment plans for those patients based on clinical trial data. In our chemical reactions unit, students learn all about the materials that are needed to create some of their favorite technology, from their Chromebooks to their iPhones. And at the end of that unit, they have to propose what they think is the best solution for reclaiming some of the materials in those devices, like copper, to increase their recyclability. So these problems not only provide powerful meaning for students of why they're learning these things, it really gives them these critical thinking skills that serve them so much further than the walls of their science classrooms. Next slide, please. So creating a generation of students who can help solve some of the world's toughest problems is a really lofty goal. So at LabAIDs, we take our job of supporting the teachers working towards that goal very seriously. And we do that by asking ourselves a pretty important question as we develop the resources that accompany our program. And that question is, does this allow teachers to get back to the craft of teaching? We know educators have so much on their plate that just was not even something we thought of when we went into this career path, right? And we see it as our mission to make those joyful moments and those experience-based moments of why people like myself choose science to be more present in the lives of our teachers. And you'll see evidence of that in the resources that we'll be supporting your teachers here in David Douglas with. Everything from our online platform that has great resources like videos of all our hands-on labs. So we've got solutions for students who miss class, as well as for subplans built in naturally, so your teachers aren't constantly coming up with things on their own, to our industry-leading equipment. Not only do we have really high-quality, thoroughly field-tested equipment, but you can see on the image on the screen here, we take our packaging very seriously. Gone are the days of your teachers going to Walmart at 6 a.m. and being judged by a cashier for what they're buying out of their own pocket, right? We want your teachers to be fully equipped. We want their lab prep time to be minimal, so their student prep time is maximized, so they can truly, again, focus on what teaching is and what you need those qualified educators to deliver. So in the end, if you want to know about who LabAIDS is, we are in it for your teachers just as much as they are in it for your students. So with that, I'm going to turn it back over to Carrie.
Next slide, please. As Brennan mentioned, we are piloting teachers evaluated the curriculum through a rubric, and you'll see our priorities at the top. And these are just some of the highlights as to how LabAIDS met each of those priorities. I do want to really emphasize on priority 3 that one of our big tenets that students really wanted and were very clear about is that they wanted hands-on science. And LabAIDS had a lot of activities and a lot of graphs, really engaging material for students. Next slide, please. And then here's what students said who got to experience LabAIDS. We were really looking, this is just a snippet of some of the questions that we asked them. I'm not going to read through any of them, but we were really looking for most of the time and some of the time for students in their short experience piloting the materials. That's what we really lean into. And as you can see, they were pretty complimentary and really enjoyed kind of the hands-on aspect. So next slide, please. So with that, I'm going to invite some of our teachers who piloted, our middle school science teachers who piloted the curriculum to come up and share their experience with LabAIDS.
Good evening. Do you want to start with a question, or would you like me just to state things?
If you want to give us an overview, and then we can ask any questions. I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it was a wonderful experience. I believe that this was probably a highlight of my teaching career, is to be a part of this process. It was very thorough. And then the way we included the students was quite amazing. Everything you see up there is true, accurate, just as pure as you could get data from the students. And another wonderful thing was that when we would talk and discuss about things, we all were on the same page about what we wanted for the kids, but then the kids wanted the same thing. And I really believe that the middle school teachers are really strong advocates for teaching really good, solid, pure science. And I'm really proud of what we did together. And I'm very confident that our kids are going to always have a way to go into science just with their teachers alone. But this curriculum, I think, was our best choice, and I'm happy with it. What's that? Oh, I'm sorry. I'm Amy Williams. I teach at Floyd Light Middle School.
I'm Jessica Robbins. I also teach at Floyd Light Middle School. I've been there since 2005, teaching mostly science. We had 2 pilots from 4 really solid curriculum choices. I'm pleased we ended with LabAIDS. It was challenging for students. There were lots of on-ramps. There were things that were interesting to students so that kids could be involved with class discussions. I had every student speak in class. And it's because it was relevant. Our pilot unit, they were choosing water bottle materials. They care a lot about water bottles. LabAIDs was engaging for students it was good for engaging students in science practices and explaining phenomena and solving problems. So all the things that are part of the next generation science standards. They grew in their ability to follow lab procedures, collect data, interpret graphs, and analyze sources. And they had more positive feelings about science and their ability to do science.
Hi, I'm Stephanie Levine. I teach 7th and 8th grade science at Ron Russell Middle School. This is my 3rd year there. I mean, what they've agreed with everything they've all said. We really liked LabAIDs for, like Carrie highlighted, our 6 priorities, and I feel like LabAIDs just really hit all of them very well. Specifically, what was very important to me was the hands-on aspect. There was just a lot of labs, which, in my opinion, are the best part of science. So it was just really fun to see our students actually doing science. But in addition to that, and I know you're going to make fun of me because I'm going to bring up the analysis questions. No. Every single lab, not only was it awesome to have those hands-on opportunities, but it also came with the most amazing analysis questions. She made fun of me because of how much I love them, but it was really cool to see not only were they doing science, but really had opportunities to actually make sense of what they were doing. They weren't just doing the labs to do it and then oh, that was cool, I mixed things together, but they actually really understood the science behind it, and that's just why I really loved LabAIDs, and I'm excited to do more of it next year.
Thank you, Amy, Stephanie, and Jessica. So with that, next slide, please. All right, I'm going to turn it over to Brooke.
Okay, so with that, what we are asking for approval is to purchase middle school LabAIDs for middle school with the purchase not to exceed $470,000.
I move approval.
Thank you.
Second.
Great. It has been moved in second. So this is an action item, so we're going to vote. Is there discussion, questions?
I just want to say thank you, and I'm very excited that our kids are getting some relevant, up-to-date materials, and I second the analysis being the coolest part, so thank you.
And I will just say that I also believe that the labs is the best part of science. As a science major, all through college and every time, the labs were absolutely what made you stay in science. So,
thank you to everyone who put in work to pilot these, and coming in here to make this decision really easy for us, I think. Not to speak so soon, but we're going to vote starting with Director Stevens.
Stevens, aye.
Gomer Georgeson, aye.
Franklin, aye.
Saldana Lopez, aye.
Ender, aye.
Right, it has been so moved. Thank you, everyone. We have science adoption materials for next year. That is so cool. It is awesome. Thank you all so much for being here tonight, and thank you for your patience. So we are, in shifting our agenda, we are going to, initially a later item, but reflections on public comment. We heard a lot tonight. I think we have a lot on our minds, and I'm sure some of you are waiting to hear from us. So I don't know if anyone wanted to start.
All right, I'll start off. This has been the best meeting since the beginning of my term, which was, I guess I shouldn't say term, since I was appointed 9 months ago. And it's not because it's really late and we're all very tired and hungry. It's because of the students. It's because of the student voice that was in this room, the energy and the organizing. So thank you. Even if our decision are, my decision or my actions disappoint or fail you, just know that we are so proud of you. I am so proud of this community and these students. So with that, I'm not going to overpromise, but I also think that there's a duality here, that timing is not ideal for a lot of the reasons that have been mentioned. So I'll get into those for a second, but it's also ideal in that we have, hopefully, choices and decisions that have yet to be set in stone. So this is great. I will also share that we'll see what other people have to say. I'm feeling rather powerless, but at the same time, the students tonight reminded me of how much power I do have. So it's up to me to find those levers and use that power for good. I will also say that it was mentioned maybe later that the budget committee meeting, felt a little bit rushed, perhaps. And I would say I took the wrong signals from the lack of public comment. And I do think that, again, that comes down to a timing issue. Again, that idea of timing not being ideal, the amount of time that passes between the public as well as the board having access to the budget, that time, that day, and then the budget committee meeting is very, very short. So I hope we'll have some discussion on that. I'd also like to acknowledge that that there are a lot of people that deserve a full room of students standing up for them in this process. So I want to hold space for that as well. I don't know if we're going to be going around and around tonight, so I'll just try to get some of it out here. So one question, can we start earlier with public input? A lot of this comes down to timing about the numbers that come into us to produce a budget, but is there some way that we can adjust the timing? I took largely from the students and the feedback that we need to show our work. We often say that to students. We need to speak the quiet part out loud, that is very helpful. So I will be remembering that. Along those lines, we over here, every meeting we have an equity lens like printout that is up here, and it's great. And I'm wondering if we have, an equity lens matrix that can accompany our budget process and the decisions to help us track, to help with that transparency. I do have some questions that I will hold, and we'll see what my board colleagues have to say.
First, I'll just say that if we have students testifying and telling us how they feel on every topic that we cover, we will be all the better for it. The more we hear from you, the better we can make decisions. So ultimately, when we do push for things like band or sports or things not to be cut, we're not doing it because we like to listen to music and like to watch sports. Those might be true, but we really stand up for these things because we know they're of value to the students. So the more we hear from you, the better informed we can make our choices. We know we're going to hear from the teachers, and we appreciate it. But sometimes getting the students to come and tell us how they feel is harder. And I just want to tell you that we value it a lot. So whenever you want to come and say something, it is always welcome, even if we have to stay here till midnight. Always come. We always want to hear what you have to say. Budgets are hard, and I have felt very powerless when doing in this process, because a lot of people know that we make budget decisions, but people forget that we don't set the amount of money we have. That comes from funding sources, right? So people don't realize the state, federal government. So 2 weeks ago, I spent the day in Salem just talking to legislators, telling them how the amount of money you give schools in Oregon is not okay. It's not adequate. It's not at the levels you yourself have said call for quality education, and telling them different ways they could change things to make it happen. Althea and I were there all day today, and even though we were not there to advocate specifically for a budget, I still took the chair of the Ways and Means, which sets budgets for education, aside and let them know, like, these things you're trying to do cost money, and we're already don't have enough money. And things that may be good, but they need to give us more money to do those things. And I just wanted to say those as a little bit of background, because not everyone knows the process. I don't want to cut anything, But if we have to have a balanced budget, if we decide not to cut something, then that means we still have to find that money somewhere. So then we have to cut something else, right? So everything is a question of that. I think the priority really for us is to have as little impact to what you can have as possible. We don't want to cut sections. We don't want to cut classes. We want to have as many choices as possible. That's why we advocate for advanced courses as well, and not just having certain levels. We want to have as many options for you to be successful, because we know that if you just had to do math and science all the time, a lot of you, me, probably wouldn't have done well going through school. You need to have things that you look forward to, and it's different for everyone. So know that we're going to try our best, but the budget situation, not just for us, and I will say, just Google school district budget problems, and you'll see that ours is a lot less than other places, but it's still not good. But we're going to do our best, and I hope you keep telling us what you think the best looks like.
Well, I want to start by thanking you all. Like everyone's saying, the best part of any board meeting is when students come and tell us, written, or, you grab us and talk to us out in the public, whatever. I have been thinking a lot about former city councilor Joanne Hardesty used to say, the budget is a moral document, right? You speak, you show your values with the way you spend money. And so I really appreciate you kids saying, like, you're doing this wrong. You're not putting your values face forward, and this is how you're screwing it up. It took a lot of thoughtfulness, and it took really understanding a system and showing it to, I'm not a music parent, so I don't know a lot about all the ins and outs of the different, and so I just really appreciate you telling us, like, this is how this program works. And trusting that we're going to listen, and trusting that we're listening to the details, and showing up with this kind of advocacy is super inspiring to me. But I also just really want to be blunt that I just super appreciate you calling us out, like saying that you're not leading in a student-centered way, that you're dropping the ball on this. It's super important. And so I do hope that we can think creatively, like you're saying, look here, look there, think about this differently. And I do believe, too, that the answers tend to lie in the community. So when there's some sort of budgetary gap, usually when we make decisions without asking people, like, do you see other options? Do you see a different way to approach this? We're usually wrong. So I also just really thank you all for highlighting this. And, I hope we can do better.
I just wanted to give everybody the opportunity. I just want to start off by saying, again, thank you. I've been really moved by the testimony tonight, by everyone. For students to come and talk to us, like everyone has said, is really why I'm here, and I think why we're all here. So it's really important that you keep advocating and keep voicing what you think, because we hear you and we see you, and we want more as much as you can, and tell other fellow students, because when I was a student here, I didn't even know where this room was. I didn't even know people were making decisions on my behalf, and it's really, really important, because these are the things that make change. It's the beautiful thing about small government, is that it's a lot easier in some ways to make that change, because the direct line of communication is shortened. Like, you can directly talk to us, which is not the case for a lot of other decision bodies. Well, there is, but there's a lot more, I guess, politics involved. But I also want to know that in addition to being moved, I also was moved by the testimony about North Paulhurst childcare, because childcare is exuberantly expensive, and me as a single childless person struggling financially, having a decent job, I can only imagine how much that is to have multiple kids in childcare. And so I just want to say that I hear that, and that's really impactful to hear. And I think, in addition, why it's so meaningful to hear the testimony from all the students is because, like everything you all said, I feel like I felt as when I was here, I was in music, I was in orchestra for many, many years. And so I think your testimony made me rethink, our budget, and I want to think more creatively. There's obviously a need to talk more. We do have the power in this table. The ball is in our court now. We've had the budget committee, and now as a board, we make the final say. We have the final decision. So I want to empower us all to step in a little, because that's what we've signed up for. And although we're volunteers, so we don't get paid, we do this out of the goodness of our hearts. We're going to try our best, and we're going to have those difficult discussions. So we want to hear from y'all. We want to hear from our union. We want to hear from our staff. Tell us the things that you want to hear from the budget. Obviously, we cannot promise everything, because some things will have to be cut, because the dollars that we have are finite right now, and we only know what we know. And so I definitely want to have further budget discussions, whether that's an extra meeting or something where folks could come back, do some public testimony, but really I just want us to talk. I want us to find solutions for the things budgetarily that were touched on during public comment at this meeting. And so I feel more than anything inspired and really grateful for that push, like Heather said, the call out to think differently and to do better by you all. So thank you to everyone who stayed super long, and for being patient with us. We definitely want to work towards something better.
Those are all great comments. They don't answer the question. And I think that the students here they gave some very specific demands. And so I want to answer those very specific demands. So this is what I heard you say. You want to keep a certain assistant director. That particular issue is not something the board does, because, moving people around, hiring, firing, that's the superintendent. What we do is move the numbers, right? And I would love us to be creative about those numbers. Y'all can talk about the specific person. I also heard that a music teacher was going to level up, and then later I heard level up isn't existing anymore. So I don't understand that. There's definitely budgetary decisions being made without understanding program impact. When I heard that this assistant director was leaving, I thought that's pretty much the collapse of our system at the high school, actually middle school to high school pipeline. And I said it in the budget committee meeting, because if you're not in band, you don't understand how these things are linked. It's not sections. It's a JV team and a varsity team. And because it's a 0-period class, it also touches those kids who have to be in those, rudimentary, I have to take those. I have to take basic algebra so that I can eventually get to this, because it's not part of that. So we're not talking about 100% high achievers. It's also, let's be real, that it was a lot of boys, or at least look male identifying. That is a problem we have, is a graduation rate difference between boys and girls, and boys are not graduating at the same rate girls are, and so there's an equity issue there, in my opinion, although I need to see more girl jazz musicians, please. So we can't decide about Feynman. We can talk about FTE. There was one solution that Ms. May presented that I really think we should look into. I also think these are skill sets that are not easily found. It was very compelling to me to hear about Ms. Brooks and, potentially going to retirement. I mean, if you ask anyone in the state of Oregon, what is Douglas known for? I love it that we have football. I love it that it's music. It's the arts. And I'm not willing to vote on a budget that guts that. I'm just not. And a cut of 50% of the staff in our band program, to me, is gutting. So I would love for us to think about a solution. I don't know who that is. I don't know how the FTE can be moved around, but I think we can get it done. This is our equity lens. Oh, the other thing I heard you say is you want Jazz 1. We need to figure out how to ensure that we still have a pipeline for those musicians. So the Feynman thing, pipeline for those musicians needs to happen. This is our equity lens. And I'm just going to read the questions and not answer them because I don't think we read them enough. Does this decision align with the district's mission and vision? What systems of oppression might exist within this situation? Whom does this decision affect, both positively and negatively? Does the decision being made ignore or worsen existing disparities or produce other unintended consequences? Are those being affected by the decision included in the process? What other possibilities were explored? And is the decision or outcome sustainable? Now, if we invest in keeping band, let's be real that it's not sustainable. None of what we're trying to fund is sustainable right now unless we have a fiscal change. And I want to be clear that things are getting worse, not better. We know there's another fiscal cliff coming next year, right? So even if we save somebody this year, maybe that gives us more planning time, but that's the reality. And our budget outlook from the state comes May 15th. This budget document might need to have even more cuts, depending on how that looks. We're in a real tough situation for public education. It's state, it's possible recession, it's federal cuts. And so let's be real that even if we do save somebody or a program, it's not sustainable unless we fix that budget problem. But I would like us, for me, I would like us to consider how we can maintain the integrity, especially of our band program, so that we're not gutting it. And that's my answer to you tonight. I can't say what we're going to vote for, but I do think that we need to do some more exploration. And I cannot tell you how inspiring it was to see you all. Thank you for your testimony. I hear you and I get it. Thanks.
Any further reflections? If not, we are going to go to the consent agenda, which is an action item. Do we have motions?
I move approval of the consent agenda.
Second.
Got it.
Quick discussion on that. Oh,
Yeah.
okay, sorry. So in here, we've got approval of board calendar for the 2025-2026 school year, which I looked fine. I just wanted to double check that doesn't lock us into a budget committee schedule for that, because we ran into some timing issues this year. So just making sure that we get to set that timing and schedule separate from our decision here. Don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, we usually set that in July, August, September. And some of that has to do with the timing of when the board meeting in June is and the number of days we have to post, the number of meetings we set for budget committee. So you kind of have to go backwards from there. And then whether you want to have more time as the legislature deliberates.
Okay. So I just want to raise it. It sounds like we will have plenty of time to adjust within that. So decision tonight.
You could always even change this, right? I mean,
right.
You're approving it, but you can always adopt and change it.
Yeah, we can amend and then we'd have to do another motion.
Good. Thank you.
So the one that we have still stands. So unless there's any more discussion, then we're going to move to vote, starting with Stevens again.
Stevens, aye.
Gabriel Jerson, aye.
Franklin, aye.
Saldaña Lopez, aye.
Ender, aye.
Great, has been so far removed. Thank you, everyone. Now, superintendent's report.
Great. I will be perky pace, as it's called in the education world. I'll try to move well. But there's definitely some things I want to make sure are on the table and that we're all aware of and just keep up with. Number one, Stephanie brought up a couple things, but one is the state revenue forecast. We're looking forward to May 14th. It's a bellwether, what that means or doesn't mean, but it's coming. So the reality is we don't know. There is nothing baked in on the state school fund yet or the current service level yet. It could go both ways. I'm not saying that as an answer to anything, but we're definitely anxiously waiting. We did get some good news. The PERS relief, Senate Bill 849 did pass and was signed by the governor. So basically our rates will be impacted by going down 1.868 percentage points, not just percentage, but percentage points. So that's good news. It's not huge, it doesn't answer everything, but every little bit will take. Summer learning funding, the governor also signed, so we will have summer school at the elementary level. We qualify for the maximum amount. They allocated $35 million this year. We will have $1 million to play with for summer learning, summer school. Brooke and her team are quickly working on that. It's a little late, but we're going to move forward. Still advocating heavily for special education, early childhood, the 11% to 15% cap, the high cost disability and early intervention. We need answers to all of that. Also waiting and still advocating around universal school meals, HB 3435. The reality is if that's passed, all of our students have access to meals, which they do now, but it's very important that we feel it's very important that we continue with that. Transitioning to the county, mental health funding, we've got a little bit of a win there after some advocate. They are reducing mental health funding, school-based mental health funding by $2.4 million, but it was at $3.5 million. We're not done yet. We're still moving forward. We're causing some change and hopeful about that. The Youth and Family Services, Successful Families 2020, it's been pretty clear. Anything we say, that program is eliminated, and it will impact Reynolds and David Douglas. Those are the only two districts in the county that basically get any impact from that. We won't lose money. What we'll lose is services. The money goes to our CBOs. That money goes to our partners. So we aren't quite sure how it's going to impact us, but there will be impact. And then finally, immigrant rights funding, the $309,000 cut to the immigrant family education rights has been avoided. So with testimony from a lot of individuals, but I'm proud to say superintendents as well, they took that off the table. City of Portland, I'm proud to say that the SUN funding, you all know that Parks and Recreation funds some of our SUN programming, specifically Al Thought. It's in the mayor's budget. There's no cut to that, so we're going to have SUN schools across the district. And also, I'm going to access this a little bit later as well, but school engagement, the mayor is committed to visit in every school district over his first year, so we're really excited about that. And the reason we're excited about it, I'll read in a minute, because it seems like that he's very interested in schools. Finally, when it comes to budget, was alluded to a little bit, but the president's proposed budget did come out last week, Thursday, Friday, if you remember, and unfortunately, the good news is Title I and IDEA were still in, although flat funded, but there were significant cuts, in fact, a complete elimination of English learner funding and other grants, so Title III just totally eliminated from that budget. The big thing to know there, that his budget or that administration's budget is not necessarily what Congress passes. So we are also writing letters and communicating and doing everything we can to make sure people know that. The other thing that I said I wanted to bring up, we've been doing all we can to really welcome in and build relationships with our 3 District 1 counselors. We had a meeting on April 29th with them, and it was great just knowing that we have counselors at City Hall really focused on East Portland, and you could feel that in that meeting, and they were all very excited to meet with us and ultimately talk about how we move forward with partnering. It was talking about budget, but there's only so much the City of Portland, but they do have relationships with our legislature. They know what's going on, and they know some of the other needs that we're rallying behind. So it was a good meeting. And then on top of that, we met with the mayor back to back there, and he definitely committed to schools, and this is the part that I think is a bright spot, is in his city vision. So in his proposed budget, he mentioned schools, but then also in the vision, he said, "We aspire to a beautiful, safe, clean city of choice for ourselves and future generations, a city with healthy and sustainable economy, strong businesses, vital neighborhoods, a diverse population, excellent schools, and vibrant downtown." I'm not going to read the rest of this, but he definitely was speaking to us about the importance of schools and the reality of building community, building the city of Portland. So it was nice to hear. I'm very hopeful. We can count on it and move forward, but they were both good meetings. I want to transition now, and these are, I'll be very quick, but just some good news. We have had a lot of challenges. We also have a lot of success, and no one at this table I know is shying away from challenges. I know we still have work to do. I want to, the students and others, I think you heard it to make sure, but there's no final decisions when it comes to the budget. So there's still work that we'll be doing. But here's some good news as we're doing some of this difficult work. So, and Melissa might know this more about this than I do, but our David Douglas High School Student Council has been recognized with the National Gold Council of Excellence Award by the National Association of Student Councils. This press release highlights the hard work, leadership, and service that led to Absolutely. Island, do you even know this? Did you know this? Oh, did you know about this award?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Stiff announced it to us. I mean, we had this whole process of submitting things through files and just proving everything that we've done. Because obviously, schools can write down that they've done a lot of things, but we had to send in actual physical proof, and that took a long time. But I'm glad we got it.
You got the
end.
gold.
Yeah.
Yes, nicely done. Also under Florence's leadership, one of our administrators in her department does track attendance and works with attendance. And just a little bright spot, got an update from the month of April. Quick 3 bullets here. All elementary buildings had an increase in average daily attendance from April, and the best since October. And a little shout out, congratulations to Ventura Park for hitting 92%. Yeah, absolutely, a lot of work going on there. All middle schools had an increase in average daily attendance, so all of them increased, and then to the month of April, and the best since October. And how about a congratulations to Alice Ott for hitting over 92%. And then, yes, absolutely. And then there was also a decrease in chronic attendance in April at all levels. So it's just, again, a little snapshot, a lot of work, and a lot of work by a lot of people. And this last thing, two other things. This one I just want to read a quick email because I think it just shows off our community and our district, and it made me proud. I already shared with our board, but for our community. Dear Principal Larson, my name is Shauna Stone, and I'm the local coordinator for the Music in the Parks festivals held at Oaks Park. I had the sincere pleasure of watching some of our students, your students, perform under the direction of your band director. Not only were their performances very strong, but their behavior was outstanding. There's a special award earned by the school that shows the most understanding of the purpose of this festival, which is to support, encourage, and elevate all music students, regardless of the size of group, the quality of their instruments, or the experience level. I'm thrilled to say that your students demonstrated respect for each other and others, encouragement of each other and others, and was simply wonderful to be around. All schools were eligible to earn this award, and there were high school and middle school students from as far as Canada and as far north as Canada, as far south as Eugene that participated. Ron Russell Middle School earned that award, and these students have a lovely trophy to share with you. There's a little bit more to it, but again, very exciting award, something that we can really celebrate. 2 other things, I have to give a shout out. Last week, there was just perfect for this meeting, there was actually an AAPI celebration last Thursday, and Althea was there. I know I saw you. I mean, the kids were so excited. It was amazing, the energy. Go ahead, please, if you want to.
I mean, it was just off the hook. It was, the energy was that, I mean, you've been to events and they're exciting, and the students and performances, they were just I walk in and they're just yelling and screaming. It's all students cheering for students, dancing. It was incredible.
It was intense. It was so awesome. Yeah, so I just wanted to shout out. And then we also heard, some of you might have seen or not, we are currently working, but Classified did communicate they're ready to sit down at the table. So the specific representatives, I know Mr. Long is working with Lori. We're putting together a Google Doc to get dates, and we'll get that first bargaining. Yeah. Doodle, yeah. 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 We ready? Yeah. No. Yeah, perfect. And then the last thing, and last but not least, I get the privilege, it was also brought up, but I get the privilege of reading a proclamation, a separate proclamation. It is Teacher Appreciation Week. It is Thursday of Teacher Appreciation Week, and I've been able to be out in a few buildings, not enough this week, but seeing what our principals, PTAs, or others are doing for our teachers, and quite simply, it's not enough, right? We all know that it's a special week, and hopefully our teachers feel special, but they do it all day, every day, all year long, so I hope our teachers know how much they're appreciated all year long and not just this 1 week. And obviously, we heard, we can always get better at certain things as well. But it is, when I read this, with sincere gratitude, because our people, I think, what make our district special. All of our employee groups, all of our students, all of our families. I believe we're different by design. We do some things differently in our district intentionally, and a key backbone to that are our teachers. So this proclamation is, whereas teachers mold the future citizens through guidance and education, and whereas teachers encounter students of widely different backgrounds, and whereas our country's future depends upon providing quality education to all students, and whereas teachers spend countless hours preparing lessons, evaluating progress, counseling and coaching students, and performing community service, and I'm going to pause right there before I read this one, and care, right? Money out of their own pockets, backpacks, coats. I mean, our teachers are constantly taking care of our students as well. And then, whereas our community recognizes and supports its teachers in educating the children of this community, now therefore be it resolved that the David Douglas, on behalf of the David Douglas Board of Directors, proclaims May 5th through the 9th, 2025 to be Teacher Appreciation Week, and be it further resolved that the David Douglas School Board of Directors strongly encourages all members of our community to join with it in personally expressing appreciation to our teachers for their dedication and devotion. A huge shout out and extreme gratitude for our teachers. And that's the rank report tonight.
Thank you. Yeah, Jose?
Just really fast, I always appreciate your reports, Ken. And I will add, if anyone wants to submit any testimony in the policy stuff that Ken always updates us on, because there's a lot of policy out there. A lot of it is good policy, but it just doesn't come with money. And the fiscal line at the state level says no impact. I'm like, no impact to who? Because even like there's one right now that the testimony due by tomorrow that they want more climate change in all levels, which in theory is good, but they give you $0. And we all know that it takes curriculum, it takes professional development, it all costs money. So if anyone wants to submit simple things like, this is great, give us money to implement it. That's all you need to say. Let me know. I'll send you exactly where to go to submit your testimony.
Yeah, and with those, they always have some kind of deadline, like the day before, usually at like 2 p.m. or something like that. So you have a little time, but just be aware that there is deadlines, and they're usually like an inconvenient time of the day. But just going forward, I really hope to get us out by 11, so please help me in accomplishing this goal. The next, we're going to be talking about heat illness prevention plan with Pat.
Sure. So in your packet was a draft of the heat illness prevention plan. We're sharing with you with this. Our SAFE is our workers' compensation carrier. They reviewed it. I think we have a few minor edits to make, but we really want your input on the site closure plan when we have extreme heat. So we'll bring that back in June for you. And if you have any questions or feedback, if you want to send that in before then.
Yeah, just a flag, kind of a first read. I don't even know that it needs an action, but we definitely want the board to be aware of what the heat illness plan, because it could result in closure for safeties, and making sure that we're all aligned to that and what that looks like. It has been shared with our union leadership as well. We have not discussed it, though. We haven't sat down and gotten any feedback around it or done any work that way, but they do have it in hand. At this point, because of the hour, our hope is just to bring it back to you and have a more thorough discussion, make sure there's not any questions or anything we want to address, so as you review it, and it doesn't have to wait for a meeting. So if you have questions about it as you're looking at it, please don't hesitate to reach out to Pat and I, and we'll continue to move forward with that plan.
That was my next question, is if our union folks have heard. I don't know, Stephanie, I don't want to put you in the spot, but I don't know if you want to say anything to this or for us to look forward. Yeah, no worries. Totally understand. But there is next month, so if there is anything, let us know before then too. You don't have to wait till next month. Thank you, Pat and Ken. And Pat, it's still on you for the
financial report.
Yeah.
Let's see how quick I can be. So we already mentioned economic forecast is next week. We did get updates for 23-24 and 24-25 state school fund calculations. 23-24 is slightly less than we anticipated. Transportation grant went from about 297 million to 330 million. So that obviously depletes the amount available spread. A slight increase in ADMW. I believe there still is one more potential edit to that before they do final payment in May. So, as I mentioned previously, high-cost disability, we had to pay back about $891,000 for last year. We got about 1.1 for this year in the estimate. Again, we'll go through the audit process and then reconcile that next year. I would not be shocked if we have to pay back again, especially if there is not additional funding put in the high-cost disability pot. So, and you can see there the claiming amount for the 55 million. When you have 140 million in claims and 55 million to pay for them, you get pennies on the dollar. So let's see, the investment report is included, and you can kind of see here on the amount we have invested out, and I think we've got the interest rate in here decreasing from the prior year. So we're still seeing interest rates kind of tick down slowly instead of ticking up. And back to state school fund, I think I forgot the highlight, which is we are down about $1 million from the last projection. So instead of going the opposite direction, as we start closing POs, I'm hoping we'll bridge that gap. But we are at 20 million, and the proposed budget is 22.5. So not going in the right direction. Any additional questions?
No, thank you, Pat. And thank you for staying so late to everyone. But last but not least, board liaison and committee reports. Anyone have anything to report out?
I want to go home. But I also want to say the powwow was incredible.
Yes, it was. It was great. And there was dancing at the end. It was really cool. All right. I think mission accomplished, y'all. We're adjourned. Thank you.